All right, hello there, YouTube. Welcome to Geekery Abides, episode 57. And yeah, we're here for main topic Chernobyl, but just like the last number of episodes, we're going really light on the news, and we're going to have some Daredevil, Born Again discussions. So we're the penultimate episode is in the books now. We got one more episode, as well as I don't think I have it listed out anywhere, but we got Last of Us starting back up tomorrow. So can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and hit the intro and get started.
He who is ashamed of his geekery has forgotten the face of Stan Lee.
You the proud, the geeky. Hello!
This is the podcast, Geekery Abides.
All right, hello and welcome to Geekery Abides, episode 57. We are here to talk all kinds of fun geeky stuff, everything geeky that's not Stephen King. This episode, our main topic is Chernobyl, and we will be talking about Daredevil, Born Again at length for the last two episodes that have aired as well. My name is Tad, and with me in the co-pilot seat is Peter.
Hi there.
And we are, we're ready for some fun, geeky stuff. So, let's first of all jump on over to emails. If you want to email the show, we alternate our producing on these shows. So if it's an odd episode, it's me. If it's an even one, it's Peter. So this is one of my episodes. And also, I just did it yesterday, I think, where I went through and we've got a number of topics hammered out through, I think, August.
Nice.
Something like that. So I have those updated on YouTube as well. There's a couple episodes between now and then that are still blank. But yeah, we got this one. Then we got the T2 deep dive that got punted from you. Then after that's Thunderbolts. And after that is Harry Potter 1 and 2 for the movies. First time watches for me. And then we have a couple blank ones. And then Superman and then Fantastic Four, First Steps. So got an interesting run of the summer here for the next little bit. We got 3 episodes we still have to fill in. But you could see all that on the YouTube side. And then if you want to email the show, either give feedback on on old episodes, ideas for new episodes, or whatever. If you want to just send Peter some emojis in an email, you can go ahead and do that over at peter@geekeryabides.com. Or if you want to send an email to me, it's tadd@geekeryabides.com. Send those emails anytime and be part of the show. If you're not here in the live chat, that is your best way to engage with the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the emails. And thank you, Carol, for the kind words on the intro. I definitely love it.
It's awesome.
I think both of our intros for both of our shows, they get me hyped. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just like getting in the zone, but I love them both. So it's definitely fun stuff. And I don't know, it was weird because it's for both of them too. Like at first, because the original Dark Tower one I did, and then Alan remixed it and made it much, much better. That one is a lot easier to whatever, but like this one, it took me a while to grow on me because I created it with like AI and stuff. So it was just like, because since I did it, I'm like, it could be so much better than what I did. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
But then as time's gone by, that's like diminished in my mind, and now I just love it, and it gets me hyped. So, so let's jump on. Oh, let's see, did I move? Okay, there we go. The next thing we got here is watching, reading, playing. What have you been watching, reading, playing?
Yeah.
And Carol says, great day to be feeling more like my old self. I just love this miniseries you guys are discussing today. Have a great show, you guys. Thank you. It's definitely one of my favorite things that has ever been put to film. So, let's jump over to watching, reading, playing. What do you got on your docket recently?
Okay. Watching Daredevil Born Again, obviously. 1923 season 2 wrapped last Sunday. It finished. I think it might be a series conclusion.
Yeah.
The way it feels, I don't know.
Yeah.
And what I've seen online, it doesn't look like there's going to be a season 3. So series.
Well, it sounds like what it might be is like, because that's technically a sequel to the 18 whatever. So
1883.
like,
Yeah.
I think they might just keep moving up in time. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm still watching Jessica Jones. I kind of got bogged down a little bit. Haven't been watching a ton of that.
I stopped after season 1. I'm going to get back into it at some point, but I got so much going on right now.
Yeah.
I made a committed effort of like, you know what? I'm pausing. I finished season 1. Down the road, I'm not even jumping to that. I'm jumping to Luke Cage because I'm going to do them in order of their releases.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've already watched all the Daredevils, so not those. But
So
I think,
Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Defenders,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
but not Iron Fist.
Oh God, no. No.
I did go and watch Adolescence last week.
Oh,
off
yeah,
of your
yeah.
last
What a show.
what is this? A week, 2 weeks ago, tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the day after our last episode, I should say. That's the easier
Okay.
way of saying it. I literally went through and watched all 4 episodes.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop.
Yeah,
it was
it's
such a good show.
so good. Yeah, it's a great one.
My wife finished. I can't remember what show she was watching, but now she's watching The Office.
Was it Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No, it's not Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I can't remember what. Oh, 30 Rock.
Oh, okay.
She finished 30 Rock, so now she's watching The Office. So that's the show. And yesterday was the horribleness. I came home and she was watching Scott's Tots, so I left and
Interesting.
didn't watch it. I'm never watching that episode again.
One of these days, sir. One of
Obviously,
these days.
Chernobyl. It's kind of interesting how it happened. I remember Chernobyl. I was telling Ted yesterday when we hung out, because we're talking about it today. He's like, "Hey, did you rewatch Chernobyl?" I'm like, "No, I rewatched it like December, January. So like, I don't need to rewatch it. Like, it's all fresh in my head." He's like, "Oh, okay." And as I was turning to walk away, I was like, "I'll probably still watch episode 5." And he's like,
Yeah.
"That makes sense. If you're gonna watch one, watch that episode. That episode's so good. We'll talk about it."
Yeah.
So I watched episode 5, and I had nothing else to do, so I just watched the rest of it. I went and watched 1, 2, 3, and I got partway through 3, and that's where I ran out of time this morning.
Oh, man.
So it's just, I was like, all right, whatever, you know.
That's great. So you watch it out of order then?
Yeah, I did. It's kind of interesting. I watched the trial first and everything, and then reading. I'm almost done with Harry Potter. I'm in book 7. And I don't know what I'm going to read next. I might finish book 7 like tonight because it's one of those things where it's a sprint to the end kind of thing. So I don't know if I want to save it for work on Monday and have it be done in the first like hour and a half of work, and then
Yeah, just got to make sure you got something in the hopper.
yeah, that's the thing is I don't know. It's too soon for Billy Summers, so
Yeah.
I gotta
I'm
figure. I gotta figure.
I'm
out.
sure you'll figure something out.
It might be time to visit Derry again. And then I'm still playing Fallout 4, and I am obsessed with this new game, Repo. I modded it. I figured out an easy way to mod this game, and it's just, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones that it's like, it's not the same every time you play. Roguelike, I think is what they call it. So it's different every time you play.
Yeah.
So when you die, start a new game kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it. And then me and my daughter play together
Yeah.
when she's not in school and stuff like that, and I'm off work. So that's what I've been doing.
All right. For me, I don't remember when these ended, so I did put them on here, but it may have been finals before with the last episode. But Reacher did wrap up, as well as Severance season 2. So I put both those on my list, but they may not have actually been in this last period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I also decided I needed like just kind of a short sitcom-ish type thing, something 30 minutes. It's always nice for me to have something like that because sometimes you're not always in the mood for a 40 to 60-minute episode of something. So I decided to throw on Malcolm in the Middle. It's a show I loved back in the 90s. They're doing a revival here pretty soon. So, yeah, it's one that I always enjoyed. I don't think I ever watched the entire show either. I think I only watched the first couple seasons.
Yeah.
So with this binge, I'll be able to kind of go through and watch the whole thing, which is pretty cool. So, it's been a lot of fun so far for sure. It's a fun show. And then Daredevil Born Again as well, obviously. And then, honestly, one of the other reasons that I haven't been doing a lot of else is baseball season's going.
Yeah.
So watching a lot of baseball.
You did rewatch Chernobyl, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did I? Oh, I guess I didn't. Yeah, I didn't say that. But of
Chernobyl.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Rewatched that to make sure I had all the notes. Plus, I honestly, one of the reasons I picked it is because I've been wanting to rewatch it anyway. So
You're like, I need an excuse.
perfect excuse. Yeah. I haven't been reading a ton, but when I have been reading, I've been reading Blood of the Prophets, this book on the Mountain Meadows Massacre. Fun stuff for people of Utah, especially. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of music and podcasts recently, so I've only barely dabbled. And then Red Dead Redemption 2, still trying to 100% that last tail end of that.
Yep.
So, yeah, that is what I've been up to.
Carol says that she's watching the Apothecary Diaries, reading the Hunger Games series. That's a good series. And then playing Mexican dominoes on her phone.
Oh, okay. See, I just was learning dominoes recently in Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
I was having to learn how to play.
I never played dominoes before Red Dead either.
Yeah, as I say, honestly, before that, I always thought dominoes are just a thing you set up to knock over. I didn't realize there was
a game.
No, never once in my life did I, wonder why there was numbers on the dominoes and there was two sides to it. Like it's just one of those weird things I had never thought about. So, yeah, let's jump on over to the news. The first one is unfortunately a sad one. We lost Val Kilmer. Definitely a legendary actor. For our generation, especially. I mean, I think anyone can appreciate him, but I just feel like he's kind of one of those guys like Bill Paxton, and like there's just those certain dudes that just dominated the 80s and 90s. So people like you and I in our age group, like we grew up on a lot of these movies with him, right?
Yeah, you go everything from Willow to Top Gun.
Top Gun.
Tombstone. All these movies that he was in.
The Doors.
What was the one that he was, The Saint?
Yeah.
Batman. I mean, even into that, So
I just feel like he was just one of those like dominant forces. He was a pretty big star through the 80s and 90s. So I think that just kind of makes it where he's like one of those ones that are just in our purview a lot. I mean, Tombstone. Have we talked about Tombstone at length?
I don't think so.
I know we've talked about it.
Let me go look at the list. But for Val Kilmer.
Yeah, I mean,
nice, sweet prince.
Oh, indeed. But yeah, Tombstone, one of my all-time favorite. I mean, it would have ended up on like our top 10 westerns. It was probably on both of our lists for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we've ever like deep dived Tombstone. But yeah, he's
definitely not.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like we have.
Okay. All right. Yeah, he's a legendary actor for sure. And I feel like and like one of my favorite bits of trivia is when they were screening the movie The Doors, they were doing edits on it. And they were like had like the surviving Doors members, and they were like had screens with both original real footage of like the Doors performing and then like footage of the movie. And there were times they couldn't tell which one was Jim Morrison and which one was Val Kilmer. So that's how good he was.
That's one that I've never watched is The Doors.
Okay, yeah.
I wasn't I'm still not a huge Doors fan, so it's like,
yeah.
Yeah. It's also like I didn't go see what's the Bob Dylan movie?
Oh, Complete Unknown.
I didn't go see that because Bob Dylan. Okay,
it's a good one. And what's his name? Chalamet performed a great role there too. So, so that is that one. Let's go ahead and move on over to the next one. We have very little news. We'll get over to the discussions here quickly. So the first one, rumor, Jesse Plemons allegedly has been offered a role in Sean Levy's Star Wars movie. As of now, the only thing, it's like half confirmed that Ryan Gosling is the lead of said Star Wars movie with Sean Levy. But of course, Jesse Plemons, famous for Todd from Breaking Bad. He's just done a great job as a villain in a number of things.
He was just in a Civil War, wasn't he?
Civil War, he was incredible.
He was in the trailer, like, we're Americans. What kind? Or whatever he says. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Wearing those funky sunglasses. That's all.
I almost put that down on the under thing. I almost put, you're an Imperial. What kind of Imperial are you? Almost did it. But yeah, Jesse Plemons is great. He's kind of hard to beat as a villain, so that would be pretty interesting to see. Next up, we've got an interesting one. Tony Gilroy, of course, Andor's coming up very soon. It'll be out before our next episode, season 2. Tony Gilroy, the creator behind that, says that a Star Wars horror project might be coming.
Yeah.
So this is that's interesting. Of course, I've said for a long time a survival horror movie on Endor with like a couple stormtroopers that got left after the battle, and now they're having to survive their way through monstrous man-eating beasts.
Ewoks.
Yeah. Monsters. Dude, can you imagine just being out in the dark and you just see like the little beady eyes,
the yellow glowing eyes?
Yeah, and you just hear like they're chattering and stuff. And, yeah. And then like slowly people are getting picked off and stuff. Like People think I'm being funny, but that's Jawas. Or yeah, talking Ewoks.
Oh yeah. I mean, short little creatures that I'm terrified of. I mean,
Really?
no, no.
Were you ever scared by Jawas?
No,
What about Ugnaughts?
no.
Okay. Some people were really freaked out by Ugnaughts because they were so freaky looking.
Why? They're trash men. There's nothing scary about
They're
garbage men.
pig faces and stuff. They're
I like pigs.
they're unsettling.
Ah.
So in a previous interview, he said, "I've always fantasized that a show would break new ground, that someone would be able to make a 3-camera sitcom Star Wars or a horror movie." I think the first thing I said to Kathy Kennedy when she said they wanted an open line was, "Could you do a courtroom drama, and why not?" So that's an interesting thing. Imagine a Star Wars courtroom drama.
That would be cool.
We've worked really hard on Andor to make our lane, and then it's up to other people now to find other ways to do it. Then he was asked recently about the horror project that he had alluded to there, and he says they're doing that. I think they're doing that. I think it's in the works, yeah. So he's like, first he definitively says it's happening, then he kind of waffles a little bit back to like...
Did he just Tom Holland slip?
I mean, maybe. I'm mixed on this because I'm obviously a massive horror fan.
Yeah.
But even like Andor, I'm like, as a 40-year-old dude, I love Andor. But as looking at it through the purview of like what Star Wars is supposed to be, Andor's not great, man. Star Wars is supposed to be for children. It's supposed to, like Lucas said, I made it for 12-year-olds.
It doesn't fit the mold of what Star Wars should
yes,
be. It is great.
It's a great piece of like art, and it's something I as a 40-year-old love. But if 8-year-old Tad had been shown Andor,
my 12-year-old daughter has no interest in it.
I wouldn't have been able. I would have given it up. Like I never would have been able to finish it. And it's like, so to me, it's like, are you like, since Star Wars is supposed to be kind of a fairy tale? It's like, what's a fairy tale if it's not for children?
Sure.
So that's kind of a weird thing. So then to now say horror movies, I know you can get PG-13 horror movies and stuff, but it's like, I don't know. I love the idea a little bit, but there's also part of me where it's like, it's kind of a weird thing where it's like, is that a round hole in a square peg type thing?
I think the one thing that I would say is that reading the Harry Potter series is that the early Harry Potters are very young, young adult and everything like that. There is a lot more adult themes when it gets into the later books. It doesn't go full, rated R, and everything, but it does a heavy PG-13, and I think that's okay. It's okay to have that, because let's be perfectly honest, Tad, a Star Wars horror film would have absolutely been shown to 6-year-old Tad.
I mean, yeah.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like there's not kids out there who love horror at 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
My daughter's getting into horror right now, and she's loving it. So, that's where I think that maybe...
Excellent.
I think that maybe there is a little bit more, let's open it up.
Tad loves the idea, because I love horror and I love Star Wars, so
Yeah.
peanut butter and jelly, or peanut butter and chocolate. Like, you got my...
Yeah.
Peanut butter and
butter and honey.
It's the larger conversation of just like, I don't know how to feel about it, because like when I think about what Star Wars is supposed to be, like I'm just worried that they're going to start fragmenting it out to the point where like in my mind there should never be anything rated R Star Wars, period. Like just never. It should not ever exist. And I know there's like 40-year-old people that like our age that like love that and like want that, but it's like, no, that's not what it should be ever in my mind, right?
Well, at that point, do you draw the line saying that there shouldn't be a rated M Star Wars game? Video games. I mean, because like The Last Jedi, not The Last Jedi, Jedi Survivor, where you're cutting limbs and heads off and everything like that, and dicing up animals and stuff. I mean, at that point, is that not the essence of Star Wars and everything? Because that's MR, the equivalent and everything like that. So that's where I'm not arguing with you. I'm just trying to say like, I think that it's okay to go down a branch and see what happens.
But see,
because Andor was a success, and Andor gave a lot of adults something to watch. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that the kids watch. If the kids want to watch Star Wars, there's still plenty of other Star Wars.
Yeah.
And let's be perfectly honest. Tales of the Jedi, and then the other one that's coming out on May 4th, where it's a little bit more like my niece and nephew who are, 6 and 3 can watch those, and I'm going to go watch the horror film. That's where it's like, it doesn't have to be all inclusive, but it doesn't mean that they can't watch it when they're older.
Yeah.
And/or something that you show to your kid when they get into high school, and you're like, hey, this is what I've been saving for you.
It's just, in my mind, it's a slippery slope, because I'll go like Batman, and like at this point now, Batman pretty much does not belong to children in any way, and kids almost have no access to Batman because like the comics themselves, they're now 100% for 40-year-old some odd middle-aged people. Like that's what Batman's made for now, and it's like because adults have completely co-opted the character to the point where he's not even accessible to children anymore, unless they watch like a cartoon or something. Like the comics, right? Like Batman comics haven't been for children in a decade or more, and I think that's the ultimate nightmare. Is like if it ever gets to a spot where like people go overboard and suddenly Star Wars is not accessible to children anymore. I know we're not there now. Right. It's just one of those things where it's like it's you give an inch, take a mile.
Here's the thing I will argue about comic books is who's buying comic books.
Yeah.
It's not the kids anymore.
Yeah.
So if you want comic books to sell, you have to go to the people who are going to sell, and the people who are buying are wanting the dark and gritty. That's a little. I think that's a little bit different than movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
You don't have to have 100% of Star Wars fans watch a Star Wars show to make it successful.
Yeah.
Let's be perfectly honest. Skeleton Crew was fantastic.
Yeah.
Not made for the 40-year-olds that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they threw fits about it. They're like, "Oh, this isn't adult enough." It's like, good. That's
good.
what you're saying. It's
exactly.
like that's what Star Wars should be. Is it should be made for kids.
Yeah. But also, I guess the caveat to that is there's the famous C.S. Lewis quote where he says, a children's story that's only enjoyed by children is a bad children's story.
Right.
Good.
That's why
good children's stories
I like
are
Harry
ones,
Potter.
Yeah, there's good, really good ones anyone loves like
exactly.
that. So that is, and again, it's hard because also Tad is a horror fan and a fan of like political like stuff, drama stuff. Like I loved Andor, but I am kind of I don't know, put off by the idea potentially of like rated R horror Star Wars because it's just like to me there's like I don't know. It feels weird to me, but I'd be there to see it.
It also depends on what kind of horror,
Yeah, yeah. No,
if we have a creature feature, I mean, they did a couple episodes of Clone Wars where there was like a zombie virus on Geonosia.
Yeah,
right?
Well, I mean, a creature feature would just be a Wookiee attacking people, right?
No. They're sentient beings, Ted. You stop it.
Oh man. Speaking of horror, let's go to the next one here. Scott Derrickson and Robert Cargill, which are the dudes behind the Black Phone movie, have a new film called Road of Bones coming out. They're developing now. This is a Christopher Golden supernatural horror novel, and it's titled Road of Bones. The story is a supernatural thriller set in Siberia along the Kolyma Highway, quote, a real highway that was built in the Stalinist Soviet Union using labor of prisoners from the region's gulags. Lore has it that hundreds of thousands of inmates perished during the construction of the 2,000-kilometer road due to the permafrost. It was judged easier to build on top of the bodies. Oof. So the book is described as, quote, a mix of folk and survival horror. It tells about an American documentarian who, intrigued by the road's history, ends up fighting for his life in one of the coldest and most remote places on Earth. So the dudes that did Black Phone, that sounds wonderful to me.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and that sounds like a cool setting, too.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got this one here. The Batman 2 delays are allegedly potentially about something a lot bigger than movies. So apparently this is known by a lot of people in the film industry, but it is not really being talked about. But an insider said, quote, if you knew what Matt Reeves was dealing with, you'd leave him alone. I mean, it's not a Chadwick Boseman situation, but it's close. You should leave Matt Reeves alone. So, I think just the heat that's been going.
No, I understand
that.
But
yeah,
poor Matt.
Yeah, and then previously, Matt Reeves said there's been a lot of stuff going on in my life the last year or so, and Colin Farrell has been such a good friend. He's such a beautiful man. We're still finishing the script, and there's so many things going on. The next year is about getting into production and getting the movie going, and I think that was last year, so that's talking about going into this year. So just to give everyone some context here, this isn't just a matter of like arguing with James Gunn about things or whatever else. Like
having a finished script. That was one story that came out, is that Gunn's not going to greenlight anything and have anything going forward unless it has a fully fleshed out
which I think
script.
that's probably legit, but it's a matter of like
but why is the script not getting done?
Yeah, it sounds
maybe
like
that's what this is talking about.
Sounds like real life is a thing that we should all be cognizant of. So
yeah, they're people too.
Yeah, indeed. Next up, David Cornsweat says that crypto is a bad dog. Did you see that new trailer?
Oh, what a menace.
So Cornsweat said, quote, crypto needs Superman, but Superman doesn't need crypto. Crypto Crypto's just been, and then it kind of pauses. It's a foster situation. Superman is taking care of this dog. He loves the dog, or he loves dogs, as most people do. But Crypto, as James Gunn has described, is the worst dog in the world with superpowers. So he's always destroying the Fortress of Solitude and hunting wildlife, and is just getting into trouble and never listening. And although there's a great love and affection between Superman and the dog, it's honestly more trouble than it's worth.
Oh,
So-
wow.
And that
Are they just setting up the stage so we don't feel as bad when he dies? Is that what they're doing?
they're not going to kill Crypto.
I mean,
it's going to be. I think it's going to be very hard to kill Crypto anyway. So, I do. And that clip that came out was like the extension of that. Crypto. Bring me home type thing. And Crypto is absolutely not listening. And
Nope.
he's definitely
just jumping on him and he's hurt and everything.
he's definitely a menace. That's for sure. Which it's okay. I love menace dogs. Those are always fun. Next up, we've got out of nowhere, David Fincher is going to be directing a Tarantino sequel.
Whoa.
This is going to be a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, seriously?
So Cliff Booth will be returning with David Fincher directing.
Hey, all
So,
right.
That sounds. I love that movie. So
That's such a good movie.
And David Fincher, that sounds incredible.
Yeah.
So next up, Spider-Man now has a title, Spider-Man 4. It's Spider-Man Brand New Day, and it is, of course, coming out July 31st, 2026. So that's the title. Of course, very fitting, and it's probably, I guess it's more in-universe meaning. We don't know fully if this has, like, a double meaning of any kind, because, there is no, I don't know. But also, let's remember, this is sandwiched between Doomsday and Secret Wars.
Yeah.
So
right in the middle.
I have a feeling that might be very important.
Absolutely.
Next up, Thunderbolts might be among Marvel's best movies.
We've been hearing a lot of good things about it.
So a Redditor who was part of the test screening and previously was in a test screening for Captain America 4, and everything he said about Captain America 4 turned out to be true. So it's very likely that he is legitimately has seen the movie. So he said, quote, "I attended a test screening of this near Burbank about 6 weeks ago. I won't say too much, but I think that if you're feeling jaded by the cape shit genre, because they all feel the same, I would check this one out. The journey it takes the characters on is actually interesting. The team dynamic is great, not unlike Guardians of the Galaxy, and the way Sentry/Void is executed in the story is really fascinating. I expect this one to leg out well into the following weeks after it drops. I see a tomato meter being 90% or higher for critics and audiences.
Damn.
Of course, I could be wrong, but the audience that I was with seemed to really love it and couldn't stop talking about it highly after the screening. So more hype for the movie, so that sounds fun. And then the last thing we got in the news here before we move over to Daredevil Born Again is Daredevil Born Again director teases the finale. He says, quote, "There is a moment in the finale that is extraordinarily shocking on a practical effects level, and it is very, very, very violent." That is 3 varies. But also, as a filmmaker, incredibly exciting. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it, and I can't wait for people to understand why there's a gleam in my eyes right now. So, Tuesday. Can't wait.
Can't wait. Season finale.
So let's jump on over to episode for Daredevil. Let's hit those 2 episodes real quick. So
spoiler alerts.
Spoiler alerts for the last 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again.
And the whole series, let's be perfectly honest.
And everything before. We obviously,
if you're waiting for it to be done before you watch it and everything like that,
give us a few.
Tune out.
Yeah, give us a bit. Probably till we jump on over to which next up is the main topic, which is Chernobyl.
Yeah,
so
if you see the banner will change down here below us. Just mute us until then.
Yeah.
Or fast forward.
Yeah. If you're in the future.
If you're audio.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Skip ahead.
All right. So episode 7 is art for art's sake. So right off the bat, Fisk finds out Daredevil is back. God, Vincent is so good.
Yeah, he's just dude. The desk is this LaGuardia's desk. Yeah,
but like his just like facial acting, but in a subtle way.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he finds out about Daredevil, there's like a twitch on like one part of his face. And it's just like, dude,
how do you do that?
I don't know. He's a very, very talented person. My next note: a lot of time spent with Angela. So yeah, I believe she's 100% going to be a young Avenger. There's just a lot of screen time throughout this episode spent on her. So not saying that she's a bad character. It's just a matter of like
it kind of confirmed our suspicion we had last time, where it's like, we do have this suspicion that they're building a young Avengers, and here's a person in the perfect age group who has an amulet that gives her powers that's in the family. It's like,
Yeah, indeed. My next one, I have a note here. We have the confrontation with Oh, okay. Carol's gonna peace out.
Yep.
Till we're done with this part of the conversation. Do you like Cherry?
Do I like Cherry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Cherry.
Okay.
Why?
I've liked him up to this point, but him kind of filling the role of Foggy, trying to like talk Matt out of it all, I didn't buy it. It didn't feel like he had the place to talk to Matt that way. Like Foggy did. He was a friend. And I guess it wasn't until that moment that I started to wonder, why didn't they bring Mahoney back from the original series?
Yeah.
Cherry's just kind of an invented character, kind of unnecessarily.
Kind of.
And I never thought about
there in the first episode, first scene.
Yeah, and I never thought about it till this moment because he's been fine, I guess, for me overall. But yeah, it just hit me with that scene where I'm like, nah, you don't have any right to fucking say any of this shit to Matt about blowing your life up and you can't be doing this. And like, no, fuck you, dude.
Well, isn't there a relationship that's built in between the end of Daredevil and Born Again where he's working with Daredevil? So when he finds out that Matt is Daredevil, that ups their relationship. You know?
Yeah, I just want.
And then you have the year after Foggy, which is
it's not to say he doesn't have any relation. It just didn't feel as earned to me, like to step into that role of like trying to be the one telling Matt he shouldn't be doing this. It just suddenly rubbed me wrong, and then it dawned on me. I'm like, why isn't Mahoney this? Why isn't that his role? Like he was just a guy back to season 1 of Daredevil. It just seemed like a weird thing they didn't get him. But overall I've loved the character up to that point. But that was the first time where I was like, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. And I was just curious if you had any thoughts on it. So
I get it. If Foggy's gone, then Cherry kind of recognizes what Matt needs, and if Foggy was the one doing it, then Cherry's kind of filling that void, working with him as his private investigator for his firm and everything like that. And then, like I said, there is a line that they say where like, he was working with him as Daredevil during that time in between the season 3 and season 1.
Yeah.
So, but Daredevil and between Daredevil and Born Again. So
yeah,
I think there is a relationship there. It's just that they didn't realize they had a relationship until that first scene where he's unmasked. He's like, Matt? And like, oh my God. It's like if Gordon suddenly found out that Batman's Bruce Wayne. It's like, holy fuck, Bruce?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Obviously, Batman builds that relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying is it doesn't feel like that relationship's been built.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly been done off screen, which is where it's...
Yeah.
And if they had done Mahoney, it would have been a whole lot easier
now you got
everyone to swallow it.
Yeah, you got 3 seasons built in already.
Of interactions with him and everything like that.
Yeah. I'm just kind of hitting through my notes. Do you have anything to chime in, or you want to just...
No, let's just keep going. I have my notes, but it's later.
Okay, so Fisk's tirade to Buck about Daredevil being back and like everything that he had done.
Yep.
Again, just D'Onofrio.
Yeah.
Incredible. And like honestly, we've never really seen this from Fisk before. Mm-hmm. We've seen some anger about Daredevil, but to truly like see his perspective and have him basically throw a temper tantrum about everything Daredevil's done to him, that's not really ever happened.
No.
Like the animosity's there, but he's never like overtly just spoken out like he's fucked everything up. He's like crippled my men, like just this.
Where was it that Fisk talked? Was it with Vanessa that he talked about in the 8th episode, where he talked about how they built this empire up, and she's like, yeah, and then you threw it away, and he's like, well, it was taken from me, and it's like,
yeah,
he illegally threw me in jail, and that's this part where he's saying that. It's like, oh, I guess there is 2 sides to every story, kind of thing. Like, actually, there's 3. There's the left side, the right side, and then the truth.
Yeah. So Vanessa meeting Luca. How did you see that scene?
Dude,
you were already suspecting her from a previous episode, so I thought of you immediately with that.
And then she confirms it. Like everyone's been confused. Not everyone, but a few people have been confused by like who ordered Luca to pay.
Yeah,
and I'm like, Cashman said it wasn't Fisk. Like it wasn't Wilson. He's like, I'm not here on behalf of Wilson.
Yeah,
it's like. Did everyone just miss that line, or am I the only one that caught that? Because everyone's like, well, Wilson is the one that sent him. That's Wilson's lackey. And I'm like, no. He said he's not here on behalf of Wilson. And then Luca tried to rob a bank. So he's listening to someone.
Yeah.
Who's he listening to? It's obviously Vanessa.
Yeah.
So I got confirmation. Vindication,
Yeah. But did you see it as her really betraying him? Did you believe with this meeting?
For a minute,
when he offers her the olive branch, right, and later on we're going to see like that pay off a little bit.
Yeah.
But like with that scene where you just like
I was
Leo
like,
memeing.
I'm like Vanessa. I was seriously like,
because he'll never do anything to her.
No.
I
She's the boss.
well, no. Fisk will never do anything to Vanessa.
No.
I think that's
okay,
completely
Luca. Okay, yeah.
that's completely untouchable, right? But her going against him is something that could realistically happen. So, and then of course we get the patient from episode one or two, or I think it's episode 1 or 2, whatever it was, that came to Heather and asked to be a new patient. So, I remember that being a scene that stood out in those early episodes.
Patient.
That one that is her book signing and asked if
Oh,
she's,
yeah.
she's
Okay.
getting new patients. So we
Right.
get a return of him. So that's
Yeah.
that's kind of like, oh, okay. So it's what I suspected in the first couple episodes. I'm like, he's going to be fucking Muse. I mean,
And?
I don't think we had Muse revealed yet. We had some hints. So I'm like, okay, you don't just give me this scene out of nowhere and it doesn't pay off for something.
Yeah.
So
Chekhov's gun is
Yeah.
a very real thing.
yeah. Then cut to Fisk with Kim telling him that Bastion is Muse and cluing us into his backstory.
That scene was awesome.
Kim being a really good detective.
Yeah.
Figuring it all out. Because I actually didn't expect them to figure it out that quickly, but they were like, oh yeah, it's this super special high-end shirt that only 12 people bought. We've talked to all 11 of the 12. And the other one, look at his fucking criminal record, his how many times he's been
It kind of
institutionalized.
fits with what he's done in the past.
Yeah. So that was cool. I liked that because again, it's just showing Kim being a really good detective. So
Yeah.
it's
It's nice not seeing police just be complete and utter buffoons or thugs.
yeah,
Because it's a lot of times in these shows, where, especially with superheroes, you just see either A, they're incompetent, or B, they're dirty.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see a good cop. That's why I like Mahoney and why I like Cherry and Kim. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, we got good cops who can actually solve something without the superhero
yeah.
doing it for them.
Okay, so then there's also the scene with the partner and Matt fighting about the law firm a little bit
Yeah.
and his whatever. Do you have any suspicion on her?
I don't trust her. She's a former DA.
Yeah. And she was the last one
every
talking
time-
to Foggy. She was on the other side of the case that he was very first episode. I went and rewatched that opening
really?
scene. She's the one that's at the bar chatting with him. And then Matt is listening and talking to Karen.
Mm-hmm.
It's her that Foggy's talking to, and she's on the other side of the case. And then later we find out that the one that it's connected to the Red Hook district. The case was. So it's like, I don't know. And then there's like a number of things. She's the one that tells Matt about Poindexter getting really. There's just a number of times where she's conveniently been the person to like whatever. And then there's
Guide Matt down a certain path.
Yeah,
Kind of thing. Okay.
there's a few through these. I'm jumping ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's a few in both these episodes where like she's kind of like, I don't know. There's just I'm watching her. I'm watching her.
I didn't notice that. I didn't pick up on that. But Tad, you're right.
Yeah, I'm watching her.
I didn't realize that was her who Foggy was talking to.
Yeah, I went back and rewatched just to see, because I was like, yeah, let me go, because the Foggy stuff. I'm also suspicious about some Foggy stuff. We'll get to in a second. And then Daredevil figuring out the stuff in Muse's area and then knocking the prick cop out. Gotta love that.
Yeah.
Gotta love that. Fisk hearing about Heather.
Yeah.
Being connected to Muse. It's interesting because he actually knows her.
Yeah.
Right. It's that weird thing where he's like, that's his doctor. Like,
Yeah.
it's easy just to realize, oh, it's Matt's girlfriend. Well, for Fisk, learning like, oh, we think he's at this, this doctor's office. Like, he would know who that is. So,
It's like, oh shit.
yeah. Muse is absolutely terrifying in this scene.
Dude.
Like, just
That scene with her where he's talking about his art and how his parents forced him to do stuff and everything.
and Taekwondo. Good
Taekwondo.
explanation as to why he's able to fight
Yep.
Daredevil pretty well.
Yep. And then he killed his teacher,
Yeah.
Taekwondo teacher. They're like, oh, he was found dead on the estate. It's like,
Estate, yeah.
wait, what? What do you mean he was found dead? And nothing happened? Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those ones where they have a rap sheet a mile long, and it's like, you don't think anyone could have done anything about this? You know?
Yeah. Heather not into masks, she says. That could be a big thing
Yeah.
later. So
They are definitely building. I know we're going to get to it, but I know they're jumping ahead a
I
little
have
bit.
some suspicions.
They are building her being heavy anti-vigilante.
Yeah, I have some suspicions.
Yeah.
Daredevil dodging a bullet, fucking badass. He did it in the original show too,
Yeah.
so it's not new, but like that's pretty awesome. Aside from She-Hulk, is this the first time we've seen Daredevil in daylight?
No. We see him walking with Foggy and Daredevil in daylight.
Daredevil. Because he's in the Daredevil suit and She-Hulk with the Walk of Shame.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think we've ever seen him except for at night. He's got that Batman thing going.
Yeah.
So he's in broad daylight.
Yeah, I
So,
just instantly went to Matt. I'm like, of course we've seen Matt in daylight, but no Daredevil.
I don't think we've ever seen Daredevil in daylight before.
Yeah, usually he runs around in his suit checking things out. He doesn't
During the
dress up.
day.
He doesn't dress up as the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Get over here. Holy fuck, dude. He scorpioned him.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I love it.
That fight was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and then the ending of that fight.
Yeah.
The way that it.
Well, first of all, Daredevil gets cut and Heather sees it.
Yep.
So I think Matt's cooked. She's going to see that cut at some point and realize that there. I mean, this is my note when I was watching this episode, but then the next episode we got Fisk dropping some hints. I think she's going to put it all together, but I think at some point she's going to see that cut on his leg.
Well, I think
that she saw
also-
Muse get Daredevil on the leg.
Yeah.
And she was conscious enough that it's like, I think this is happening.
Well, also in the start of the next episode, she's like, Daredevil said my name.
And knew my name. Yeah, that too. Yeah.
That plus the cut.
Yeah.
Plus what Fisk said. Yeah, I think you're right.
And we've already seen her notice bruises on him a few times in the series. So I just have a feeling that she's going to see the cut and put it together.
Yeah.
Not that she doesn't already have some hints to like think that direction. And then of course she kills Muse, which is good because Matt isn't really in the killing business.
Nope.
So pretty wild though. And then Fisk to spin it that his task force is the one that saved the day. I also want to point out North hesitated.
Yeah.
With taking the credit, because North in the comics is fairly anti-vigilante, and he's usually just staunchly whatever. But they've just played him in this series a few times with some of the facial looks and stuff that I'm like, I don't know if he's into this. I don't know if he's
You think
100% committed.
I think Powell is.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely, Powell is a thug.
Yeah,
But North is being played. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He's being played very interesting.
and in the comics he's so anti-vigilante, there'd be no way that he wouldn't just like, so they're playing.
Absolutely,
they're
it
playing
was
him.
us.
Yeah, they're playing him different than the comics, and I'm watching that because there's been a few times here.
Sure.
And then BB and Daniel scene, him kind of threatening her a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got the upper hand that he thinks he does. That was my note watching it in real time because it's just like it reminds me of the old quote: "Never pick a fight with someone that buys ink by the barrel."
Yeah.
Type thing, and it's like she's got a following. Like all she has to do is say, "Hey, he's trying to like whatever." So, like trying to bully me, like, and
Yeah.
you've got millions of people watching. Like that's not going to work out good for him.
Especially when he's sitting in the mayor's chair when he does it.
Yeah,
That was
Yeah.
one thing I noticed about that scene is the way that he kind of like positioned himself. And
Yeah.
he's like, hey, you need to do what I say. You
Yeah.
know, like it's your choice, but
Yeah,
your life's going to be a lot easier. And I'm like, that's something. Last time he was talking to her, they were standing and it was like a favor and everything like that. This time it's sitting and it's kind of like a do what I say or else.
yeah. Channeling his dad there.
I'm channeling his dad. Yeah.
Tony Soprano is.
Exactly.
I kind of wonder if he's Kingpin's kid.
You think so?
Not Vanessa. Not with Vanessa. It would be
With someone else?
because he hasn't known Vanessa long enough to have
No.
had a kid that old. But maybe old Fisk had an affair at some
Maybe
point.
that's why he's taking care of him.
I just get a vibe. I just feel like I've got that vibe a few episodes back, but I forgot to mention it. But I'm like,
They
kinda-
kind of look alike a little bit.
yeah, there's enough there that it's like I wonder if he's a baby Kingpin. So then Heather remembering Daredevil knows name. You already mentioned that.
Yep.
Also being guilty about killing Muse. And then Vanessa giving Fisk's location. But then Buck kills Luca while Fisk is eating another big meal.
I see. Like, dude, I was on edge. That
Yeah.
whole scene, I was on edge. I was like, oh, Vanessa, you're actually going to take a shot at Kingpin?
So-
You're actually going to do it? And then he was eating alone. It's like, I started thinking about it as
And
Lucas.
Lydia said she felt the kinship too. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that there's something with those two. So, but yeah.
Does she have some motive with setting Matt and Heather up? The
Oh, yeah,
partner
she-
set her up with,
With-
set him up with
Heather.
Heather.
Yeah.
Oh,
I meant to mention that too. Yeah.
I forgot about
That-
that.
yeah, there was like a
the
lo-
whole blind date thing.
There was a laundry list of things where it's like there's been a number of times that things have been prodded.
She's been pushing Matt in the down this road for a while.
Yeah.
This
And I
whole
just-
season.
Yeah, I'm watching her, man.
Oh.
I'm-
oh.
So with this, then of course Buck takes them out. Buck in the comics is Bullet. Is his
name.
Although he's like a giant goon in the comics, he's like
Oh, okay.
6'8", like 400 pounds, like massive motherfucking dude. So they've changed him a little bit, and then tells Buck to call Vanessa, which could be read two ways. I mean, it's kind of hard to have this conversation now because you've seen episode 8, but like that could easily be a thing of like,
that's like
tell
the end of the
Vanessa like
episode.
you just fucking failed,
Yeah.
right? Like calling to tell her, it's like, hey, that either could be like check in, like, hey, you set a trap and it worked, or it could be, hey, you just set a trap to fuck me over and it didn't work. Like that could have been read either way.
Hey, it went exactly like we planned, or that was you fucked up.
Yeah, it didn't go the way you. So
Yeah.
You mentioned a few episodes ago that you suspected Vanessa could be a
Dude,
problem.
I thought, and the way that he worded it too, call Vanessa, and I'm like,
ask her if she wants any whatever. It's like,
yeah, I'm like, dude, does he know that she just tried to off him?
Yeah.
And everything like that. I'm like, oh my god, did she just try to off him and Fisk was on top of it,
Yeah.
or did she set Luca? My head was spinning
I
after
figured
this
it would be,
episode.
'cause you
I
already
was like, oh my god, Vanessa took a shot.
Yeah. Indeed. So then you got anything else for this episode before we jump to 8?
That was it.
All right. So episode 8 is Isle of Joy. So the overhaul.
What an episode.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say the overhaul saw some stuff added to episode 1, but this is the first entire episode post overhaul.
Okay.
So like everything else we've seen up to this point was largely filmed already. So except for episode 1, they obviously did a lot of doctoring to that to add, Foggy and all a bunch of other
Karen,
stuff. Yeah. So this is the first full, and like you just said, I think it shows. Like I've loved the whole show up to this point, but there was like a stark difference with this episode where it was like, holy fuck, like filmmaking, writing, everything about this just felt next level to the rest of the show.
Yep.
So even the opening shot of that flower, that just felt different. That felt just great. So yeah. And then Dex is back getting thrown into Gen Pop. Later on Matt's going to say, can we get tickets? I'm like, okay, who are you buying tickets to see here? Because I don't think this is going to go well for a lot of convicts, because Dex is a very, very capable
And
person.
he's enhanced too.
Yeah, exactly. So Fisk with Vanessa at the docks. First Luca was now we find out that Luca's a total setup.
Yep.
Were you scared?
Vanessa didn't.
Were you scared for her at all when the scene first started? Before you?
I wasn't with the way that Fisk was acting. I kind of was like, oh, okay, he that was planned.
Yeah.
And then he confirmed it like a second later when they got down into the base. Like they were walking in, I think is when he said it.
Yeah.
So it was like right off the bat. It's like, okay, yeah, they were both in on it. They took down Luca, and I liked her explanation too. He didn't follow the rules. He didn't, he was. What did she call him? She called him like insolent or something like that.
Yeah.
She like insulted him, and I'm like, yeah, I could see it. He was kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Like even if I was the crime boss, I'd be like, dude,
Yeah.
the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. So Heather is still struggling with killing Muse, and then is lumping Daredevil and Muse together.
Yeah. That's got to hurt Matt a little bit.
Yeah, and he gets a little defensive and stuff.
Do you ever think someone like that, because it always comes out, right? Like, she's going to find out that he's Daredevil.
Oh, yeah. For one, I think she's a very smart character.
Yeah.
And I think that she's got enough clues now, and then later in the episode, Fisk is going to put some more in her ear.
Yeah.
And then I think the cut is going to be the coup de grace. I think I think 100% she's going to figure it out.
I always wonder if those characters ever, like, stop and, like, think back to stuff that they said, like, he saved my life, and I called him the same as the guy who tried to kill me. Like,
yeah, and she told him that I saved myself. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to fully take that away from her, but it's like, that doesn't go your way if he doesn't interject.
you're dead. You're dead if he doesn't show up.
Yeah.
Like, let's be perfectly honest. He
Yeah.
saved you.
Yeah. My prediction, I do have a Heather prediction. I think 100%, either by the end of the next episode or into season 2, she is going to go 100% Fisk, and she's going to be on his side 100%. And she's going to completely not betray Matt in any way other than, like, it'll not be a thing anymore. She is going to become a complete Fisk anti-vigilante, like, cultist. I don't know what you want to call it. Like, she's going to be 100. She's got all the building blocks to being 100% behind Fisk. And even when she finds out, I think it's going to be not good.
Yeah.
So I feel like all the pieces are there for this to not work out well.
I think they're drifting apart more and more, and obviously what happens at the end may keep them together for a little bit.
Yeah.
But on the whole, this relationship is splintered.
Like Karen, it was a big deal when Karen and Foggy both found out, and it ruined those relationships to an extent. But
it changed the relationships drastically.
Yes.
But because they were such close friends, they were able to get through it.
Yes, Heather. This is fatal.
No,
when it's revealed, it is 100% fatal. It's an like yeah, this is the end of it. It'll be the end of the relationship. She's going to hate Matt. She might even be the one I said a number of episodes back. I think Matt gets completely exposed publicly in this show.
You think it's her?
And I think it might be her more than Kingpin. So Buck is, and all this is cross-cutting with Fisk and Vanessa. Buck is at the door, and Fisk is inviting, while Fisk is showing Vanessa Adam in the cellar, so you're kind of seeing worlds collide, cross-cutting between the two.
Yep.
Obviously Buck showing up to the apartment is like,
yeah,
Matt's getting pretty ruffled up.
I love the parallels that they're doing between Fisk and Matt.
Yes, incredible stuff.
Fisk is having a thing with his wife, Matt's having a thing with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Fisk is fighting Adam, Daredevil's fighting Muse. Like, they constantly are doing this over and over again.
It's incredible. And the headbutt.
Oh, yeah.
The cross cut, sharp cut from one headbutt to another was incredible stuff. So, and then Lydia says, yeah, as soon as she finds out, it's over. And like, but I honestly think it's not even just that it's over. I think it's going to be like a vengeful, spiteful thing. I legit think she's going to be so in his camp, Fisk's camp, that she, like, whatever. And I do think she might be one that she'll go to the fucking news and be like, Matt Murdock is Daredevil. Like, yeah. Just out of pure anger of like, no, this is all wrong.
Do you think he's going to have to go on the run then at that point?
I don't know. I don't know what that's going to do.
Oof.
Yeah, it's going to.
Or does Matt get arrested and now he has to have his day in court? Because I've always wondered if that's where this is going to go at one point or another.
Yeah, Matt on trial.
Matt on trial as a defendant, but he's also a defense attorney.
Yeah.
So, and then also a vigilante. So I've always thought that Daredevil should at some point have Matt on trial for something. Yeah. I thought that's where we were going early when he assaulted the cops. It's like, dude, he just assaulted 2 police officers. No matter what they were doing, he can't prove anything.
It's like, hey, we were going to kill a guy, and he assaulted us.
Yeah. But at the same time, they could have just been going to, they could have been investigating anything. But at the end of the day, it's like, I really think that's where this show is going to end up at some point, is Matt needs to be on trial.
Yeah.
And I wonder who his defense attorney is going to be.
He can defend himself.
He can, but a lot of times they don't let him because
he's a really good lawyer.
He is a very good lawyer, but remember that there's legal issues with defending yourself.
Not when you're an attorney.
It depends.
It's when you're just some swinging dick that walks in and goes, "I want to defend myself." That's the reason the courts are like, "No, well, you're not doing that."
The big thing, and this just comes from my knowledge of Ted Bundy trying to defend himself, is that you lose the right to an appeal if you defend yourself.
Yeah, and he was also only a student; he wasn't even a
That's
bar
true.
attorney,
he had not passed the bar. So Matt is a certified lawyer and everything. Yeah. I just wonder if they're going to let him defend himself because he is a vigilante.
Unless Foggy is his defense attorney.
I mean, Foggy. I mean, we also have She-Hulk is an attorney.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean,
I'll get to Foggy in a second, but I have some suspicions still.
Oh, yeah.
So, Vanessa's first murder, yes. Adam?
No, I mean, first on screen, she was a crime boss for 5 years. So let's not.
Boss. Real bosses don't get their hands dirty.
That's true.
So I legit think this is her first murder.
And also one of the Hayden yucky moments of the episode.
Yeah, indeed.
That headshot.
So Matt finding out Dex and Daniel gets a promotion because BB is being more favorable. Oh, so Matt finds out about Dex and Daniel is getting a promotion because of the BB thing. So kind of two notes in one there. Again, the Dex thing we already talked about a little bit. Again, that partner, I'm watching her. Matt blows up at the client, really feels like the firm is doomed. Heather was right. Matt is self-destructing his current life, and Cherry to an extent was too.
Cherry said that too as well.
And his speech, with his overall speech, though, I think he's losing faith in the system. So that's interesting because Matt's always been one about the system. Maybe he's played outside of it a little bit. Foggy was always more like hardcore. But
Matt was always like, we need to assist the system. Yeah. That's what Daredevil does, he assists the system. And Foggy was always, no.
100%.
Daredevil is not the system. He can't be a part of the system. And that's what leads to like the whole Punisher arrested by the police, not by Daredevil thing.
Although I will say Matt's tried to kill 2 people in this show so far. So Dex, he threw off the building thinking that would kill him. And then he was going to kill Muse. If Angela's heart doesn't stop, he fucking kills Muse. I 100% believe that. He had him hanging. He was pulling him there. He was doing nothing else until her heart stops. Then he lets him go to go help her.
Yeah.
So this is a different Matt.
I'm still just gonna devil's advocate on that one. Is that you choke people out? That doesn't mean that you're gonna choke them until they stop breathing. You just choke them until they fall asleep. So
We'll see. I don't know.
I'm just saying for the Muse one, that's what Matt could be going for, is that he was just going to choke him out. And then when he hears that he, passes out, he just lets him go, and then he gets arrested. But
yeah.
it's a possibility, but I could see your side of it. I definitely could.
And then my note on this whole breakdown here is Matt has ultimately, since Foggy's death, has tried to become Foggy, and that was never going to work for him.
No.
He's too much of a color outside the lines type person, always has been.
The system needs help. That's his thing.
Yeah, there was never going to be a time that you're going to, like, tribute Foggy by becoming Foggy, that was ever going to work. Because you're just not that person. Like, that's incompatible. That's two sides of a magnet. Like, they may complement each other, but you can't be him any more than Foggy could have been Daredevil. Like, there's just they're polar opposites of people.
Absolutely.
So it's been ultimately he's been trying to live a lie by trying to like tribute Foggy in my mind. So Josie's getting another return here. Also, Josie getting probably the most dialogue she's ever had, including the Daredevil show.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Nice for her to get a scene.
Yeah, indeed. And then obviously the reveal that Foggy was celebrating a soon-to-be victory
over Fisk.
And well, I mean, it's weird because because he was being asked by Matt's partner. I'm blanking on her name. She was the prosecutor. He was defending someone. Kristen, yeah, it's Kristen. And then I'm forgetting her last name because that's the law firm's name.
Yeah, Murdoch and whatever.
Yeah, it's McDuffie.
Something like
Murdoch,
that. Yeah.
McDuffie. So her, she's the prosecutor. Foggy's defending, and he's saying, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" He's like, "I'm not gonna tell you my, strategy and that kind of stuff." So it's like the victory he's doing is to defend someone that she's trying to prosecute. Again, with the tie into Fisk, I'm kind of wondering, is she working for Fisk as a prosecutor to do certain things? I'm very suspicious of her. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Matt finding out the victory drink. I did see some people online a little bit confused by that. Apparently they didn't rewatch the old show. They had a very traditional drink they would have after every victory.
Yep.
So the Dex and Matt scene, this is the first time they've been one-on-one with Matt as Matt since Fisk was in custody in the hotel in season 3, and he tries to like negotiate his way into the hotel. So these two have not seen each. I mean, they would have seen him in court, but like that's not a one-on-one.
Yeah.
So this feels like
my wife confirms it is McDuffie.
McDuffie. Okay, I was like trying to remember because
McDuffie and Murdoch.
I remember it was M&M. It was just I couldn't remember, and McDuffie came to mind for some reason. So the Dex and Matt scene was pretty great though. Dex thanking him though. I knew immediately.
Daredevil meant to do that? Did Matt mean to do that?
No, I don't think so. Even just like him thanking him and him, fuck you. And that's heated Matt, dude. We don't see Matt that heated very often.
Not very often.
I don't think Matt meant it. Not consciously anyway.
Okay. I kind of wondered with the thank you and then the way that everything goes down. I'm like, I think
Dex meant it. He's like, let me go get him, tantalize him with the fact of who hired me, and then try to get him to hit me so I can hopefully jar something loose or whatever. So that's my suspicion. I don't think Matt would do that necessarily. Now in season 3, when he's very, very desperate for I'm just gonna fucking kill Fisk. There's no other way. He controls everything.
Yeah, and see that was on my mind.
But I don't think we're in a spot now where Matt feels that desperate.
And obviously with Matt's actions later, that kind of confirms that he was not.
Yeah, exactly. Good men defend their worst enemies. What a line. And one that'll later pay off.
Yeah.
So the Daniel and BB scene, not what I expected here. I don't know. She's kind of seeming like she's in line.
We're not cool, dude.
Yeah, but
we're not cool.
But she's also feel like it's like, okay, so she did a pro him art. It's just not what I expected. I expected her to kind of fight, so I was really thrown off here when she's like, yeah, we're not cool, but at the same time, I did do an article that you would have wanted. Like, what, BB? Or what are you doing here?
Yeah.
So that threw me off a little bit.
It gets cleared up though.
The tooth scene,
dude. I didn't know Bullseye had the ability to shoot a tooth that fast.
Yeah, I'm gonna say they deserved it. His hands were free.
Come on.
I mean, that's like Hannibal Lecter, right? You don't take him out of his restraints.
No.
He had the hand things, and then suddenly in that scene he does it. I'm like, you all deserve to die.
Well, they had him restrained to the chair.
Yeah, but his hands are he can.
Yeah.
No.
His hands were restrained. What happened is the guard got down, undid one restraint, looked up, and got spit.
Yeah.
He got the tooth spit in his eye.
It just, no. Sorry, man.
They were transferring him from the hand restraints in the chair back to that.
Yeah.
And he got him right in the middle because The one hand's free. He frees his other hand. Then he
I-
grabs the scissors, breaks them.
Yeah,
Bam.
I don't know. There's just part of me where I'm like, you guys are idiots, man. The second I saw him without the thing on,
He
I'm
should
like,
have been treated with his hands still like this.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And then restrained to a chair.
yes.
There's no reason to take him out of that, restrain him to a chair, then undo him from the chair, put him back in that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. The hand should have been covered exactly. Lydia says, yeah, no. The second I saw
What
that.
are you doing?
Yeah, it's like, you guys are idiots, man. It's like leaving your pen in Hannibal's cell. Like, that's not going to work out for everyone here. Vanessa and Heather, we've worked it out. Sins of the past are dead and buried for both of us. The Vanessa line there. That, I mean, for Heather, that just sounds like an innocent, like, oh, we put our problems to bed. But, like, for us as the audience, we're like, I know what that means.
I know what you did with your past stuff.
And then the fact she says dead and buried.
It's not buried. It's sitting in a cell right now.
Oh, man. I was waiting for the prick cop to confront Matt at the ball. I just felt like that was coming. Like, they would see him, and then, like, there would be something there, but didn't end up happening. But then Fisk sees him, though, and whoa, dude, that moment
Yeah.
with Fisk, and then Matt kind of, like, senses it, right? So Fisk knows that Homeboy is swordsman.
I have a big note about this one.
He better not do anything to him.
I have a note about this one.
Is Lalo safe? Is he all right?
I have a question about this.
All right.
Do you think Swordsman's in the show for a reason, or just because they
already
had him, they might
already
as well
established him as like a rich
Right.
guy.
But we have the niece of the White Tiger.
Yeah.
You have the suspicion that Daredevil's going to be the mentor to the Young Avengers.
Yeah.
If Fisk kills Swordsman, who's going to be upset?
Kate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll-
Kate Bishop might be a little upset if Fisk kills
Yeah.
her stepdad, I think is what he officially, like, the title. But he
Yeah.
also helped out in Hawkeye. Like, I went back and I read up on him because
Yeah.
I don't remember him at all.
Really?
At all. I don't remember Hawkeye. Apparently, I don't remember Hawkeye. That's the next show I need to rewatch. Is I need to rewatch Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Because the only part of that I remember is Yelena with her fucking mac and cheese. You only have one fork? What is this?
Yeah.
That's all I remember from Hawkeye. So I went and looked it up. She thought he was a murderer. Turns out he was framed for murderer.
Yeah.
And he's actually a really good guy.
Yeah.
Well, you establish that, and then why are you bringing him into Daredevil?
Yeah.
Why is he here?
Yeah.
What if this is the connection that brings Kate with her Young Avengers and joins up with Matt in season 2?
Could be.
And
I
season
hope,
2,
I hope not.
Season 2 is the start of the Young Avengers.
I hope not, man. I love Tony Dalton.
I'm just saying.
Also,
I'm just saying because we have some very. Fisk is not happy with him.
no.
And if you're going to bring Kate and the Young Avengers into this realm,
Yeah.
and this is where they're going to start, which you kind of suspected.
yeah.
That was your thing last episode, I think, is where you talked about, like, what if Daredevil ends up being, like, the mentor for the Young Avengers and
Yeah.
everything? I wonder if Swordsman is going to be the catalyst. What if
He's
Fisk,
the Coulson.
What if Fisk just fucking offs him, and that's where Kate's like, this motherfucker's going down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Matt has to, like, restrain the Young Avengers
Yeah.
from killing the mayor of New York
Yeah. Could very well could be.
after he recovers.
The swordsman also talking to the lady before I missed it the first time I watched the episode
What
for the
happened to
second
her
time.
husband?
That's the dude that was shit talking Fisk.
Yes, it
So,
was. What happened to him?
Yeah. That's
She asked, "Where have you seen him?"
yeah,
Austin, I think they said his name was.
you ain't gonna see him no more.
I ain't gonna see him no more. He's over. They're having an AA party. Him and Adam are having
Yeah.
a party
Yeah.
out back 6 feet under.
Next up, Commissioner Powerless, damn. But connecting to BB, I'm worried how this is going to wind up. But BB knows about her uncle, so she's after Fisk after all. So now it all makes sense.
Oh,
But
I had suspicions about that.
I think the Commissioner is not long for this world.
No.
though. He got spotted by North, taking the card from her. So again,
I missed that.
I
North
was-
saw that?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Well, if he didn't see it, they shot it very poorly and edited it very poorly because you see the handoff and then you see him glancing over. The next shot is cutting over to North, glancing over. So it's like that to me. If you're doing filmmaking right,
well,
implies
wait a
he
minute.
saw the handoff.
But wait a minute.
I know. I've already said I'm wondering if North's fully bad,
Yeah.
but it's like he saw something there, and I'm like,
What if North goes to the commissioner and he's like, I don't like this
yeah,
and everything, and he becomes the a spy for him.
maybe I think BB's safe, but I don't think the commissioner is. I don't.
The commissioner's already.
He's dead.
He's screwed.
He's
screwed.
Yeah, he's dead. And then Fisk whispering to Matt during the dance is such a boss move.
Yeah,
because he knows.
What are you here for,
devil?
And he's doing the dance with his wife.
Oh man!
Because of course no one else is going to be able to hear that over the music except Matt. And he knows that.
Yeah, good stuff. This whole so I thought Vanessa was going to die here and unleash Fisk. Like that was my first suspicion. I've unleashed Fisk in a way we've never seen before. But then they trade ladies, so then I'm like, oh fuck, he's gonna kill Heather, thinking it's Vanessa.
Because Vanessa, the way that they had Fisk and Heather standing, their backs were to
him,
Poindexter.
Yeah. The only thing would be a giveaway is a dress. I don't know that.
The other thing that was a dead giveaway that he wasn't gonna do, it wasn't gonna mistake them, is that as soon as we saw down his scope the first time, he's pointed right at Vanessa.
Yeah.
Like the second,
Yeah.
right at her.
And it's funny. I was maybe 3 seconds ahead of Matt figuring her out because the look on her face when she hears Buck say that Poindexter escaped. The look on her face. So I was just a split. I'm like, it was her, not Fisk.
It's like, oh my god, it was.
And then he figures it out. I'm like, I was just a split second ahead of him. So yeah, that's this whole thing is crazy. And then of course, Fisk dropping the hint to Heather that I think it's going to help make her understand that Matt's Daredevil.
Yep.
Because both couples have secrets here.
I think Vanessa and Wilson, I think they've buried all of their hatchets, and I think they're a unified front.
100%.
And I think the problem is that I think this season is ending with Matt by himself.
Yes.
I think that's where we're going.
100%.
Except the very last scene, maybe an end credit scene, maybe a mid credit scene where the door opens and in walks Karen Page.
Could be.
I think we haven't seen her.
No.
At all since that first couple episodes.
Yeah.
I think that's
him getting shot could bring her back potentially.
I think him getting shot, him getting exposed, because I think that's what's going to happen.
That could be the finale.
And I think that he's left alone, handcuffed to a bed, and in walks Karen Page.
Yeah, could be.
Attorney at law Karen Page, ready to
Did
defend
they ever
him.
tell us that she was an attorney? Because the way
her name's on the sign, Nelson, Murdoch, and Page.
But the whole thing in season 3 at the end of it was that she wasn't a lawyer, but she's a better investigator than they could ever find. So she would be partner, but as an investigator, not an attorney.
Well, weren't they talking that she was going forward with becoming an attorney in this season?
She mentioned it in season 3. I just don't know.
No, in this season, I thought they mentioned it that's what she was doing out in California.
I don't know.
Again, California,
yeah,
Avengers,
yeah.
Just another time.
Also, brilliant work from this show because I thought the 3 of the 4 people could get shot, and the one that I didn't think is the one that got shot.
I know, right?
I thought it's going to be Fisk, Vanessa. I mean, I knew Fisk,
Heather by accident,
or Heather. It's like,
Vanessa.
but not that it would kill Fisk, but either way, I'm like, hey,
get down, Mr. President.
Yeah. So Matt also only hit in the shoulder.
Only.
Yeah,
it's a rifle round, for God's sake.
I know, but
that breaks everything.
Yeah. Also, I love that Fisk in the pure white suit.
Got the blood splatter.
Rabbit in the snowstorm.
Yep.
And then the blood.
Just like the painting is.
Cool. Also, he's white and Vanessa's wearing red. So who's the guilty party? Mm-hmm. She killed Adam. He didn't. He's innocent in it.
And it's a black and white gala, and she wears red. Well, like, come on, Vanessa. What are we doing here?
Yeah. Also, Matt is dead. So I think this is the point. 100% Daredevil's reborn.
Okay, I wanted to.
He's not really dead. I'm just saying that, like,
I wanted to talk about that because they did not do a good job building the suspense that he's gonna die. Because the very last thing you see of Matt is he's like moving his arm. It's like, okay, you're not giving us the impression at all that he's dead.
No,
like there's not that.
I mean it very much in a finger quotes Dr. Evil,
right?
Dead. Like,
no,
this is a symbolic death for Matt.
Right.
So
no, what I'm saying is that the filmmakers, if they were trying to keep me on pins and needles that Matt's dead, come on, guys. They do a better job of having him like. There's no shot of him from above where the camera pans back and he's not moving, he's not breathing.
No, he's
obviously he's
they
still
weren't
alive.
trying for that. I did see a thing with the director where he's talking about how they actually wanted like to look up and see like this very like opulent like heaven type thing, but they just couldn't get it worked out for some reason.
Yeah.
So that was meant to be the shot of him looking up and seeing this, whatever. But I think 100% this is it. Matt, as the Matt we've seen, is now dead. 100% he does not care anymore. The life he has, be damned, he is 100% going full bore, 100% Daredevil.
But I think that what happens is in the hospital, Heather comes in to visit him, sees the cut, like you said, puts 2 and 2 together, realizes he's Daredevil, dumps him, walks out and exposes him. And that I think that's when the last nail goes in the coffin of Matt, and it's Daredevil from there on.
Yeah. Carol just says, I don't know what you're saying, but I can tell by the intensity of the convo I need to put Daredevil on the top of my shows to binge while before I get spoiled. I watched Netflix season 1 back in the day. Yeah, definitely for sure. And Carol, we're almost done. We're almost done with this. We'll move over to Chernobyl.
I think she's got us muted, so that's what she's saying.
Oh,
she
okay.
Can't hear us.
Okay. And then Lydia said that scene looked very much like the Foggy scene as well.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Karen's there with Foggy. Heather's there with Matt.
Yeah. So my one of my last notes. So Frank is episode 9. Then we haven't seen Frank back. Where there's a couple shots we still haven't seen. From the show. So
also my last note that I have here is that the interview. I don't know if you sent it or if Hayden sent it in our group. There's a interview with Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox, and they said, what episodes are you most excited for? They said, oh yeah, we're both excited for 8. But I also caught that D'Onofrio said, there's also that one scene in 9, and Cox went, oh yeah, that one, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you motherfuckers, what do you got for us in this finale? What's coming?
I can't wait.
Tuesday, man, Tuesday.
And then my last point, back to my first point about this episode feeling different. This entire episode is so fucking tense through the whole episode.
Yeah.
Masterful filmmaking.
Absolutely.
Just and again, I've loved this entire show. There's been some people who have had some negative remarks about some of the stuff here and there. I've not had anything bad to say. I love this show from top to bottom. But this episode just felt fucking elevated. This felt way higher.
Absolutely.
So I can't wait for 9, and I can't wait for the rest of the arc, right? Because originally it was going to be 18 episodes, but that's now season 2. So the next 9, the back 9 episodes, which is season 2 now.
Yeah.
I can't wait for those, and I do have a feeling we're going to be a big cliffhanger for this because this originally was meant to be the middle point of the season, not the finale.
I think it is. I think you're 100% right. I think it's Heather exposing Matt as Daredevil.
Yeah, to the public.
Yep.
That pretty wild. Great stuff though. I cannot wait for 9, man.
Yeah.
I'm like on edge. I can't wait. So that is it for the Daredevil discussion.
Wait, didn't you have something to say about Foggy?
Yeah, I guess. I'll go back to the slide. Hopefully sorry, Carol, if you unmuted, mute one more second. I forgot to put that on my notes. When Vanessa is being confronted by Matt, she kind of fences them a little bit, but beyond the fencing, the last thing she says before the gunshot stuff is, you need to calm down. So I'm kind of wondering if Vanessa's in on the, faking the death.
Oh, Foggy's not dead, and she's in on it?
She's in on it. Because
what if he wanted it out?
There's like the minor fencing that they have. Like, oh, does she know that you're Daredevil? Like, whatever. But when it really comes down to it, and he's like, I'm going to hold your other chick. You got to calm down. It's like, is that...
She like flicks his bow tie and everything.
Is that what someone would say? Like, that sounds more like the next words would have been, you don't have the full story. And I don't know. I don't... Maybe it's because I don't want to let Foggy go, but there is part of me, because that was a big thing in the comics. He fakes his death at one point.
Yeah.
And I just wonder what if Vanessa helped him do it, and because it's not legit, witness protection. So a very high-ranking crime boss is a perfect person to help you.
It's almost better than witness protection because you got the criminals hiding you.
And in the MCU, we've got Sam Jackson who's able to slow his heart down with the drug in Winter Soldier. So there are ways to trick Matt into thinking that Foggy died. So. Yeah. I'm just wondering now suddenly if Vanessa's in on it and knows about what's going on.
Okay.
So that's it. So let's jump on over to Chernobyl now. All right. So, Chernobyl, HBO series, came out in 2019. So
I remember you coming to me first thing, sorry.
Yeah, no.
I remember you coming to me and being like, dude, you have to watch this series.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Tad, I'm not as big a nuke nut as you are. Like, let's be perfectly honest. And then you're like, dude, it's amazing. And then you're like, it's HBO, it's 5 episodes. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Knocked my socks off.
Yeah, it's in my mind, this is up there in the same realm as like Band of Brothers when it comes to like one of the greatest things ever put to television or put to film. And I know that's easy to say when it's a miniseries because you don't have to directly compare it to movies or TV shows. But this show, I remember hearing about it probably late 2018. I remember hearing there was like a rough like calendar of stuff coming out for HBO, and one of them was this thing called Chernobyl. And I'm like, oh, I've always been fascinated by Chernobyl. It's one of those events in history that, you know, I've always been fascinated by. So I'm just like, oh, HBO show covering Chernobyl? Like, and I remember looking it up and finding out that it's a dramatization, not just like a documentary. And I'm like, either way, I would have been there.
Yeah.
But on a dramatization, like, fuck yeah, I'm there. So I was into it early on. I was just like all sold. It's just, again, it's been something I've always been fascinated by. But this show is just stellar. I mean, just right off the bat, we can say it's one of my favorite things ever put to film. I've watched the whole show a number of times.
You throw on episode 5 just occasionally, just
yeah,
because.
I think I've seen episode 5 probably about 20 times total. The rest of the series about 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
Because the finale is absolutely incredible. So
that whole episode, the way that they structured it, and we'll talk about it, but
yeah.
Yeah.
So and for episode 1, the structure of the show to start a few years later or a few years in the future and Legasov killing himself, which he did actually kill himself on the anniversary. Of course, there's no way for us to ever know if he did it on the exact second like this show portrayed, but he did indeed kill himself, the real Valery Legasov. It's just kind of an interesting way to start the show, and I think I saw an interview with Craig Mazin where he's like, you know, we just kind of knew that like this is how his life ended, and there was just, rather than like saving that for this like final thing, it was better just to like show it up front and let people know like this is how the story ends. Now let's look at the rest.
Now here's how we got there.
Yeah, and good thing he fed the cat, which is good.
Absolutely.
You know,
well, he elevated its dinner, so.
Well, no, he put like a couple cans of.
No, because cats eat dead bodies.
No, I know.
So
but
he elevated its dinner.
The KGB would have come in when he didn't show up. I mean, we know long term. In the first scene, we don't know, but
we knew that he was looking at. He felt washed because he was like
the car,
being secretive with the tapes and everything like that.
And we don't know it in episode 1, but later we'll find out the KGB is watching him, and we'll kind of know why when the whole series is over. It's always interesting to go back on a rewatch and watch that first bit because it's like when you know the full story, it's like, oh, okay. And I also love it because it's kind of nerdy because like legitimately that happened in real life with the tapes, where he basically made a bunch of tapes and it became like black market things in like the scientific community in the Soviet Union in the final years, and it was just like these like. I'm trying to even think what the thing would be. It's kind of like when there's like a bootleg of like, oh, this weird director's cut of this movie that just you have to go to a comic book convention, find the right guy that's going to like give you a DVD.
Yeah, it's like getting your hands on like unclassified documents.
Yes,
stuff like
yes.
that.
So like to see him doing the tapes, putting them together, like hiding them in an event and then killing it, like it's just a very interesting way to, and it's kind of cool, like history wise, nerdy wise, to do that. So
it makes me wonder how the tapes were picked up. Like, did he talk to someone and have that prearranged?
Like a drop, yeah. Like that. Maybe he was already communicating with people with that.
Like, if something happens to me, look here.
Yeah. So, then the first signs of the explosion as we jump back into time to 1986.
I love when they do shots like this.
Yeah,
with explosions, I love it.
Well, it's so interesting because because you know going in, everybody on the fucking planet knows the name Chernobyl, and we all know what that means.
They
right?
may not know all the details.
No,
of
but it's like Titanic. Everyone knows. Like you may not know the details, but you know the word Chernobyl means fucking disaster, right? Like I would even say if you're a random person, if you went, hey, so this whole thing just went Chernobyl, you would know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It went absolutely fucking catastrophic. Like, so you don't need to hide anything for the audience because, like, I mean, maybe the nuts and bolts of how it all happened, but like, you don't need to hide the fact that like this is a fucking disaster. You know,
right?
Like, everyone knows. It's like Titanic. Nobody walked into that movie. Although, have you seen that thing with the one dude?
Yes, that was sent in our movie crew. Yeah.
That spoiled for a bunch of sorority girls.
Bratty girls were being rude to him, so he's like, hey, the boat sinks and Leo dies.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, absolutely.
What's that dude's name? He was in Barry. He was in It. He was in It Chapter 2. He's Richie. Richie Tozer. Yeah. him anyway. He got fired from a movie theater for that. So, and then Carol says we're
He's on
back.
Saturday Night Live, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember his name. And then Carol says, I'm surprised they didn't go through his trash or look around after every time he went out. Maybe they did, but it got comfortable after a few months. And I actually think that's
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader, thank you. I do think that's true, Carol. I do think they probably went through his garbage, but I wonder if they looked at the vent because he did put the
Yeah, that
tapes
vent
up.
was up and back.
Yeah.
So if you're going and looking at, well, he took out his trash bin. If you're going to look at the trash, you might look around, but honestly, they're probably just focused on the trash to make
Yeah.
sure he didn't hide something in there.
And I 100% believe they actually looked through his trash. I assume
it's the
that.
KGB.
Yeah, it's not shown, but it's like I 100% assume that was the case.
Yeah.
So, and then Carol says, "Am I the only one here who was in grade school when this all went down?" I was 1 year old. No, less than one.
I was a few months old.
Yeah, because it was April of '86. I was born in September of '85. So yeah, I was
November of 85. So yeah.
I was an infant, but this is also we had a history teacher in high school who was in the Navy, and he told me at one point, he says, "I can't tell you much, but I can tell you I was in a nuclear submarine in the Mediterranean when Chernobyl happened."
Oh my
And
God.
I was like, "Tell me more." He's like, "I actually can't."
Oh.
That must have been an interesting thing.
Yeah.
To be, and again, it's like part of me over the years I've thought back on that. I'm like, wait a minute, we have subs in the Mediterranean? That's actually, yeah. The more I'm like, no wonder he wasn't saying anything about it. That's probably not something that most people know that we have. Like,
Yeah.
because I mean, our subs have nuclear warheads and shit. Like, why would a sub be in the Mediterranean?
I mean, it's striking distance to Russia.
Oh man, so yeah, and then what do you love about it? Like the time difference with like
I love
you see the explosion,
You
and
see the explosion, the character's unaware of it, and then the shockwave hits, and they're like, "Oh my God!"
and we as an audience are only looking out that window. right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You see it and you're just like, okay, well, I'm watching that because, again, we're here watching something called Chernobyl. I know this isn't going to go well. So,
Oh, wow. Carol says she lived in Seattle, and we were told to stay home from school because of radiation coming over from Russia on the jet stream that goes right over us.
oh yeah,
So the jet stream does go right over, like, the Pacific Northwest over Seattle.
Yeah.
I that's fascinating that
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, these places stay home.
Yeah, I also know that throughout Europe, like kids didn't drink milk for years
Yeah.
after this, like in Western Europe and stuff, because all the cows, were eating irradiated grass. Nowhere near as bad as Chernobyl, like in the exclusionary
exclusion zone.
But it's still they're eating.
And if you expose children to radiation, they're more susceptible to it than adults.
Yeah, so there's it's definitely something that turned the world around a lot. And this show covers it a tiny bit, but not a lot because you're seeing it mostly from the perspective of
Russia.
the Russian Soviet type thing. So, and
It's also more focused on the event itself and the investigation into the event.
yes,
It's not anything into the lasting effects. Like if we had gone
Yeah.
a 6 episode, we may have gone into like what happened with cancer cases and everything, but the
Yeah.
end credits, the little text at the end,
yeah,
kind of went into that.
yeah,
But
for sure.
mostly, I don't think that the results of what happened because of Chernobyl. I think the main story is what is the cost of lies. What happens when you lie to your people as a government?
yes,
I think that's the main
and
the
Craig,
main through line.
yeah, Craig Mazin, which obviously he went on later to do The Last of Us, but this is
Yes.
his kind of coming out party. He was a screenwriter for years, but he wrote things like the 2 Hangover sequels. He wrote like some scary movie sequels, like none of the good ones. So like he's like a professional writer, but he didn't have a lot to his name that was like ones that people went over the moon about, right? He never won an award before, let's just say that.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he makes this out of nowhere, and then The Last of Us after that. So like, but I've
And
seen.
he's done a couple other things since then as well, hasn't he?
No, not this. Is pretty much this and The Last of Us have dominated his time. But yeah, I actually saw an interview with him where he did say like the whole point of this is not about like the dangers of nuclear power. He's like the thesis of this show is the danger of lies and
Yes,
systemic.
exactly.
Like,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. So you're on the right path. That's something he's overtly said.
Which makes sense because it's not. Mythic Quest. That's the other one that I was thinking of. It's,
he's on that show.
Yeah, he's also a writer on it as well.
Probably because he comes up with his own dialogue.
Yeah,
So
he that show sounds interesting.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
on Apple TV Plus. But yeah, the first episode just
Yeah, and then after from seeing it from
the explosion. Right, that's where we were.
the
Sorry.
firefighter's house. Then
Yeah.
you sharply cut into the control room,
And that's the first time we
but
see
it's
the control
but
room.
it's after it's like like
yeah, we don't know what happened.
Dyatlov, and it's like echoing and shit.
Yeah.
Like so, it's just like this show. Like, okay, first you show me like him killing himself like 3 or 4 years later, and then they're short cutting back.
Of lies, and what is the cost of lies?
Yeah, and then you cut back to like the moment of the explosion. Then you go to. I'm like, wait a minute.
You didn't even show it to me.
Come on. I remember being very frustrated because I'm like, we can't start here. Like,
You know what the best part about this show is? And I don't know if I've ever told you this, is that I have no idea how Chernobyl happened before watching this.
you know what's funny is I had a note for this in the 5th episode, but it's fine. We don't have as much time. I was hoping to get through the news and the Daredevil stuff in less than an hour. We went a little over. So no, it is what it is. But I will say I have read a number of books about Chernobyl.
Yeah.
I have never understood the science behind what caused it.
But that fifth
But
episode.
episode 5 with the placards, I suddenly understood. So it's like Craig Mazin, I give him all the credit in the world because I'm sure he had to read a lot more. The other interesting thing about Craig Mazin is someone that's listened to his podcast for years, even before he hit it big here, was he went to school and he was a neurosurgeon.
Mm-hmm.
And then went to screenwriting from being a neurosurgeon. So he's like a legitimately very smart person.
Wow.
So I'm sure he like read like every like scientific thing to like figure it out. And then like as a writer to distill it in a way where like how is an audience going to understand
Right.
exactly what happened. So because you've got to pay that off, right? Like the
Yeah.
mystery of this show, like even as I'm frustrated watching this first episode the first time, I remember thinking like, well, they're going to have to explain it. Now, whether they're going to flash back and actually show us moment by moment, I didn't count on that. But we're going to find out what like the cause, but I still remember being a little bit perturbed because I thought like, wait, that's it in the background. Wait, it's exploding. Like, no, what's going on here?
Wait a minute, how'd that happen?
This is episode 1. We can't do that to me.
But he did.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, we all know what happened. I already have a note on that. The dread of this show is so good. The firefighter grabbing the graphite is just terrifying.
Yeah, he's like, hey, look at this rock.
Because we all know.
And then a little bit later, he's like, ah!
Yeah, and like within minutes. Like he touches it, within minutes he pulls his glove off and his hand looks sunburnt, right? And it's
like second degree burns. Like he had like
that's sunburn.
blisters.
Isn't that sunburns?
No, sunburn's first degree.
Well, at first it's just red. First takes his glove as red.
That's a sunburn.
Then
It's red.
then a few minutes later it looks over and it's like blistering and shit.
It's like blistering, which is second degree, and then when the skin starts to go like black and like charred and everything like that, that's a third degree burn.
Yeah.
And so he was
within minutes.
he picked up the rock, and then when they show him on the ground screaming, he's second degree burned, which is insane to think about. That's
touching it through a thick glove.
a firefighter's glove.
Yeah.
That's meant to be like flame retardant, you know?
Yeah. Pretty wild.
I mean, it is 80s flame retardant versus nowadays.
No,
but
and I think-
still, they had pretty good firefighting equipment back then.
That's the interesting thing to the show too is like sorry Carol, I'm not trying to make you feel old, but there is an aspect of like this is a very recent thing. Because generally when you watch shows like this, it's like, oh, this is like back in the 30s or 40s, whatever. But like this is 1986. This is not that long ago.
Yeah.
You know, like so it's like technology. Like there's moon rovers. There's like there's a computer in the
There's
control room.
liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, there's the computer in the control room that tells them like, hey, something's going wrong.
You
Like-
should shut down.
Like, but there's part of you that thinks like this just feels like it should be in the 50s, so it's like there's no such thing as computers and like whatever else. But like no, like
Yeah.
it's interesting as the show plays out because it's like this is 1986. Like
this would
this-
be what a lot of people consider the modern era
yeah,
of the world.
100% is. Like
I mean, you have a nuclear reactor. You have like
Computers,
computers
rovers,
that are able
like-
to understand what's happening with the nuclear reactor
Yeah.
and make suggestions on the next course of action.
Yeah, so it's just, I think part of it's the Soviet thing.
Yes.
Soviets always feel like behind. Like when you look at this city, it looks like something from the '60s, maybe. So it's like you just kind of feel like, oh, this is 1960s. Then as things go and things pop up and it's like, oh my God, no, this is 86. God damn
Yeah.
it! Like the Soviet thing, it's like Cuba, right? You see Cuba, they have all these like 1950s cars because then the embargo happened and they couldn't import cars anymore. So when you go to Cuba, they've kept like all these like old 50s like Chevys and stuff to where like and like the buildings look like they're from the 60s and shit.
Yeah.
So it's just like it looks old and out of place because it's a place out of time. And,
Exactly.
And the Soviet Union's the same way. So it just feels like it should be like a way old thing, and then you keep getting reminded, like, God, no, this is 86. That's not that long ago. So, then
Carol says, I was so surprised how modern day people criticize the real life people because why would they not protect themselves? They were just not educated, and the government's propaganda told them that it was all harmless.
yeah,
Dude, nothing is more evident than that. In episode 3,
yeah,
where word gets out, Sweden detects it,
yeah,
and the Americans took satellite photos. So the word gets out, and they're like, yeah, children in Germany are being told to stay indoors.
Yeah.
And they look outside and there's fucking school kids running to Chernobyl High or some shit. You know, like, wait a minute. Like, what are you doing? That's the education thing there.
Yeah.
And even like, is it Sabina? Is that how you say it? Sherbina.
Yeah.
Even says like, hey, the doctor said it's safe. He's a doctor. He knows that it's safe.
Yeah.
That kind of shit was the most frustrating thing throughout this show.
And that's what I was about, that's my next note is in the
Oh, is it really?
Well, the control room is because
Yeah.
our next scene is back into the control room. The denial is so frustrating. I mean, later we're going to find out in the show.
God.
Later we're going to find out in the show that like legitimately they had reason to not believe what we know is true.
That it's like physically impossible for it to happen.
It's just not the way it works. So it's just like later you find out you could kind of like, okay, I get why. But still in the time you're just like, dude, you're a fucking moron. Dude.
Yeah.
Like you just blew this whole thing up and you're going to like pretend that it's not blown up.
Yeah.
So,
but the thing was that really got to me, especially, I think it's in episode 1 still, where Foman, the other director, and Dyatlov are yelling at the other guy. The first shift guy that came in. He's like, yeah, we're at 200 Rotkin.
yeah.
And they're like, that's impossible. Tell us how that's possible. And he's like, I can't. And they're like, yeah, because you're a fucking idiot. It's not possible. And it's like,
Yeah.
but the science says that it is. So, like, that's where you have to.
Well, then you get into the government elements, right? Where it's like, you know, what are you playing? What kind of game are you playing at and stuff?
Yeah,
like
don't create panic and shit
Yeah.
like that. Listen to the state.
Yeah. Dyatlov is so infuriating.
I fucking hate that guy.
Just a terrible person.
Oh.
But the actor killed it. Just
nailed
incredible.
Yeah, because the whole, like, there's the one guy in. I mean, we get a lot more of him in episode 5.
Yeah. Dyatlov.
Dyatlov, when we get the actual, like,
He's-
okay, how
he's-
did it happen?
Yeah, he's peppered in.
There's one that really pisses me off where it's the okay.
I wasn't even there.
No, not that.
Okay.
That's infuriating. No, the one that gets me is this is the night crew.
Yeah.
They have not been trained to run a safety test.
Yeah.
They were not notified they were running a safety
Till
test.
they got there. Yeah.
So Dyatlov asked this one motherfucker off in the corner. He's like, hey, you good? And he goes, no, I've never. He just fucking flings the binder at him like a piece of shit. Like, no, he's not good. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's the night crew. He doesn't
Yeah.
do safety. He's a piece of shit. Ooh.
Yeah.
That one really gets to me. I don't know why. And then the I need you to record your command, and he knocks the book
Yeah.
out of his head. It's like, oh, so you'll make the command, but you're not going to record it because you don't want to be held responsible, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
And the little back and forth with Foman and Dyatlov.
Yeah.
There's the whole thing with Foman. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Fomin.
Fomin.
Yeah.
Fomin, where it's like, yes, Fomin.
He's such a ratty little bastard, too.
They're both ratty little fucks.
Yeah.
Turning on each other and everything like that. Like when they actually do the full test with the truck with the general, and he comes back and he's like, it's over 15,000. He's like, all right, you two, get the fuck out of here. Get him out of here. Take him back
Yeah.
down. Dyatlov is in charge. Dyatlov is in charge.
Yeah.
Dyatlov!
Yeah. And because they're getting arrested, right?
Yes.
Like, it's very... maybe it's more ambiguous to us Americans, but it's like when you read between the lines of like the way Soviet shit works.
Take them to party headquarters is not a good line
No.
you ever want to hear in Soviet Russia.
No, this isn't like, oh, it's a party hall. No. They're going to a cell right now.
They're going to the gulag.
Yes, this is not a happy thing. The dust on the bridge was quite effective filmmaking.
Yeah.
Because again, we know, so it's like to show the dust is like the perfect way to like visualize the invisible,
You're
right?
talking about the train bridge?
Yeah.
The bridge of death that never happened?
Yeah. I have a note on that later, but
Okay.
because right now we just see the people on it and they're like dancing in the the dust and stuff. But it's like again,
The ash.
we all know that it's like
Yeah.
that's you're portraying radiation, even though
Don't touch that, children.
yeah.
No, Timmy, don't eat that.
Yeah, the meeting underground, that is just pure religious culty behavior, but
Yep.
in this case, it's for the state, right?
I love where the
old man.
I love where the one guy brings up the voice of reason.
Yeah,
Why is this? Why is this? Why
Yeah.
is this? We must
yeah,
protect the state. We must not
yeah.
panic.
Cut the phone line.
We must cut the phone line. We must isolate the people.
He was in Game of Thrones,
and I'm
too.
just like, you shice, like you evil motherfucker.
And then later you see him getting on
What's
the buses.
not the right word? Not shicey's not the right word. What's the right
conniving.
conniving? Like you're ignoring the problem.
Yeah,
and creating others.
Yeah, he's the face of everything wrong with what happened here.
Exactly.
Because again, it's the lies that caused all this. It's the hiding of the government of information from scientists, and it's like this guy is the exact face of it. And I saw an interview with Mason where he talked about I picked this guy specifically because of his age, because like this would have been a person that would have been young during the revolution. This literally is like a first generation, like
communist.
Yeah, he's the guy that would have been like helping overthrow.
Like probably shook Lenin's hand at one point as a 16-year-old boy.
Yes. This isn't someone that, like, this is a true believer. That's kind of the vibe he wanted. And he's like, that's why I picked an older actor to be this. Like,
more worried about how the state's going to be affected than, is anyone going to survive?
Yeah, exactly. How is this going to kill everyone?
Yeah.
So, the way the information is passed up, incomplete, but it taken as gospel, right? It's like, oh, well, that, I don't remember if it's this episode, but Legasov, says like, oh yeah, they said it's this number. Yeah, well, that's the highest that the low end dosimeters go. So I'm wondering if that's the number they have. Well, no, that's what they said they've got. So that's the number. Like they just take everything as gospel. Like later we're going to hear one of the great lines is trust but verify. Where's the verification? You guys are taking these reports that are going up this fucking telephone game chain, and it becomes the absolute fucking truth to you. It's like, no, like,
thank God. Honestly, let's be perfectly honest. Thank God for Legasov, because if not, everything that they talked about could have gone wrong. Would have.
Yeah,
we would have had Europe would be dead right now. Europe would be dead, and majority of Europe would be uninhabitable.
Yeah.
Millions of people, tens of millions of people would have died if it not for him.
Yeah.
And the other scientists, obviously, because it wasn't just him.
Yes. Carol says, I think casual viewers, not geeks like us, were missing key info that the show that showed why they had no clue regarding the danger. Yeah, and like I think like beyond that point, I've read a pretty interesting book that basically went through every nuclear issue ever. Like
3 Mile Island,
dating back to like the earliest days of like, oh, they discovered this thing that glowed in the dark and they used it to like paint watches. Like that's how glow in the dark watches. And the ladies would like lick the, so everything from that all the way through Fukushima. So it's like very extensive, but it's like ultimately most of them are very small. Like, oh, there's like a small reactor in a college and a guy, something happened and it seriously irradiated someone. But it's like outside of that, like 3 Mile Island happened in the 50s. That was largely diverted from being a massive disaster. Now it opened the consciousness to a lot of people, but whatever. It's still not wide enough to where when Chernobyl happens, like that's really the wake up call for a lot of humanity, to like the potential dangers. So like I totally agree with what Carol's saying here for sure. And then she said, I don't believe that the Pacific Northwest didn't get some fallout because of the jet stream, but I'm going to say the Gen Xers would have been out there in the ashes like it was snow because it's Gen X. Yeah. Yeah. And then the way Legasov called out the 3.6 Ronkin significant because they should evacuate when the whole episode it's been downplayed. It's kind of interesting because the whole episode, the numbers are being downplayed. Oh, it's
only this.
Yes, and then when he sees it, it's like evacuate everything. Like 3.6, like and then like I don't remember. I think it's the next episode with like the actual meeting with like Gorbachev and shit. But like Sherbina is like,
it's the first. It's
like it's like the same as a chest X-ray. It's the same as 400
chest X-rays.
So it's very interesting because the whole episode you could even be lulled into a sense of like, oh, okay, the numbers aren't that bad.
Yeah, and also the one thing that I caught on my rewatch, because like again I watched episode 1 this morning, is that it's not only did he say that it's the equivalent of 400 chest X-rays, it's 400 chest X-rays every hour.
Yeah,
like that's constantly getting put through your body. Like
yeah,
that's bad.
Yeah. And then the last shot, of course, kids walking and then a bird dropping. Just the ultimate canary in the coal mine. Yeah. Right? Because I think we're all just like trained at this point that like a bird dying or a small animal dying is like, we're all like, it's almost like evolution in us now to like know that's.
Those go first.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Carol said, and to be fair, I was also a kid when Mount St. Helens blew. Stay home, kids, and stop playing in the ashes.
Yeah. And then episode 2, please remain calm.
Yep.
So the opening scene at the Belarus Institute with Kyomuk is one of my favorite scenes of the entire series.
Where she figures
Homyuk,
it out.
I think that K is silent. Homyuk, yeah. Where she comes in and he opens the window and it's just one of my favorite scenes of the entire thing because it's just like, it's competency porn, right? Like, whether it's John Wick killing 25 guys.
She's like, well, wait a minute.
Someone just knowing what the fuck they need to do and doing it is just so satisfying.
It's this iodine. That means that it's
These isotopes.
it's this isotope. It's something's wrong with the reactor.
They think of the Americans,
and he's
is it
like,
something from the Americans?
is it a bomb? No, we would have heard about it.
Yeah.
Is it a dump? No, there would have been other isotopes.
Yeah.
It's only this one.
Yeah.
That's from our fuel.
Or a new,
And so-
a new weapon. No, that's what half the people do here. We would have
Yeah.
heard about it.
And so she calls the one, and the guy's all pissy, like, "No, we're getting detection too. Like, don't tell me to calm down." And she's like, "Okay, I'll call Chernobyl. Maybe they've heard something."
Yeah.
But it can't be them because they're too far away.
Yeah.
If it couldn't have been
They'd
them
be
unless
split wide
they'd
open.
be split wide open.
Yeah.
And she calls, and they're talking back and forth, and then she's like,
Nobody's picking up the phone.
"No one's answering the phone in a nuclear reactor." Ruh, Shaggy.
Yeah. And which again is a cool way to elevate it for the audience, where it's like, well, there's no way it's Chernobyl. They're too far. They're
400 kilometers away.
yeah,
is
400
what they say.
kilometers away. So it's like, just that implies to you that like the fact that it is like that like makes the audience realize like, oh shit, this is fucked. So the suspicion about the Americans too, like he brings up the Americans.
It's asked like 6 times throughout the series.
Yeah.
Bombing? Sabotage? Is it the
Yeah,
Americans?
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Seeing them branch out by distance and the fact that they think Chernobyl's not possible. I already mentioned that. The clothes piled up is wild because that stack is here to this day. The firefighters now are
They
getting to the hospital.
They show it at the end of episode 5.
Yeah.
That's about 250 miles away.
Yeah, which is
Because they say 400 kilometers.
and the
so.
amount they're getting is enough where it like triggers shit and stuff. So yeah,
Like they open the window and the alarm goes off instantly. That tells you just how bad it was. So.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you got something over there for us? Tad's searching.
I think it's back on the other side of my shelf. I have some iodine pills.
Oh, do you have some iodine pills just in case? Why? Just in case?
Never know.
All right.
Better to have them and not need them than to need them and not have
Yeah,
them.
that's true.
So, seeing Legasov put it together, reading the report is both great acting from Harris, but you cheer for him because we know more than them.
Something needs to be done, and he's
We
the
know
only
it
one. Yeah,
because it's a historic event. So it's like to see him putting it together, you're like fist pumping because it's like, yes, put it together, man. Like you need to put this together.
and the
right?
way that he figures it out, like the look on his face, like you said, fantastic acting.
Yeah, just a pause too. Both he and Stellan Skarsgård as Sherbina.
Sherbina.
Just masterful casting. I mean, Hilmik too. She's great too. I love her. It only was like a couple years ago that I realized that's the lady from Red Dragon, the blind.
Oh my God, it is.
Actor. Yeah.
Oh,
Because I saw her name, I'm like, God, that name's so familiar. One day I finally looked her up, and I was like, Red Dragon. I'm like, wait, what?
She's the blind.
That's
tech.
it's like dating the Red Dragon. So.
Yeah.
So and then the religious belief in party and state is just sickening again because now we're getting to like the meeting, with Gorbachev, which I did think it was episode 2, because again, Legasov gets a call at the end of episode 1, basically.
Oh, it is episode 2. Okay.
Yeah, where Sherbina calls him, it's like, hey, something's gone wrong. I need you, like whatever. So
And he even like fucks up in that phone call. He's like, I didn't mean to like. And it click hangs up
Yeah.
on his apology.
yeah, the KGB guy at the table is certainly why the KGB were watching Legasov so closely later. Like, because he kind of has his outburst at the table there. It's like, okay, you have the head of the KGB, like, that just saw that. Like, the reason that later we're going to see that he's being tailed.
Take his name down.
Yeah, pretty
and,
much.
Put
So-
two agents on him.
Yeah. And then Sherbina, not a fan of Legasov early on, which is wild with how close they are by the end of the show. So,
I love the whole line. Tell me how a nuclear reactor works. I'll have one of these soldiers throw you out the helicopter.
Yeah.
And he stops and looks at the one to his left, and the soldier just sits there, doesn't look, doesn't flinch. He's like, motherfucker, I'll do it.
and I think what's interesting to remember is like Sherbina's a big deal.
Yes.
Like, it is easy to overlook that, but like
He's
don't
like
don't
fifth in line.
Don't overlook
Like,
the fact that at that table, Gorbachev, the head of the Soviet Union, right, like the guy that Reagan talked to,
Yes.
called him Boris. Like, he called him by his first name. Like,
Yes.
this is a first name basis with like
Yes.
probably the man that has control of the largest nuclear arsenal in human history. Like,
Yes.
that, let's not overlook that, because I feel like it's easy to just be like, oh, he's probably just some mid-level bureaucrat. No. This is a big dude.
This is like like 5 steps down below.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at that, this is like a 5-star general in the United States.
Yes, exact guy
Or
on the
Secretary of Defense or some shit like that.
someone on the Joint Chiefs of Staff, like
Yes.
someone that's like,
on the cabinet for sure.
yes.
And so I there is one moment in this episode that I just absolutely love.
Okay.
is when they land. After he convinces the helicopter pilot not to fly over, and they go and land.
Yeah.
He leaves. I just spaced on his name.
Legasov.
Behind, and he goes and talks to Fomin, and I never remember the director's name. Bastelov or something like that.
Brahanov. Yeah.
He goes and talks to the two of them because Dyatlov got sick in the first episode.
Yeah.
And he goes to talk to them, and they're like, Weasel motherfucker. Here's a list of the people we believe who are responsible. You motherfuckers!
Well, while you're already riled up, how about Hyomuk with the shoe guy that came from a shoe factory?
Yeah.
I prefer my opinion to yours.
Yes.
Just
you dumbass.
everything wrong. And I'm not saying that capitalism doesn't have the same things where very people that have no business being in certain positions end up in certain positions.
But yeah.
But to see it, it's just oh my God, dude. And
what are we doing?
Not only do you have the party imbalance, but then you got the sex imbalance too. He's a man, she's a woman.
He won't listen to her in any way, shape, or form. He's that wired. But the moment I actually didn't get to the moment I was talking about. The moment I love is Shabina waves them over, and so they walk over, and they're like, "You've been telling nasty little lies.
Yeah, you've been saying dangerous things.
Yeah. Shameful to say that in these dangerous times. So shameful." And then
I can see you getting riled up.
And then Shabina is like,
Why did I see
graphite on the roof? Well, I'm sorry, you could not have it. Maybe you mistook it for concrete. And he's like,
yeah.
That's something I know.
Yeah, I know a lot about concrete.
That's not concrete. And then they're like, well, let's test it. And I love the one person in that whole conversation that I absolutely love is I love the general. He's just like, the high dosimeter got here. Let's go test it.
Yeah. It's all right, put your man in the best.
Put your man in the best, lead lined, everything.
And it still might not
be enough. Fuck it, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
And so he does.
Yeah.
That's a badass motherfucker right there.
And 15,000 is the reveal.
And the 15,000.
We've all been talking about 3.6. We've been talking about a couple hundred, and it's now to see that and then that's when they're ordered to be removed. Right, those two.
Yeah. If 3.2 is 400 chest X-rays an hour.
Yeah.
What's 15,000?
He says I didn't take it down, but how many Hiroshima bombs every hour?
Every hour, and then talking about I don't remember what scene it is, but they're talking about it's bullets, invisible bullets, and everything.
That's on the
that.
helicopter.
Yeah, and then when it rains, that's just
no. That's at the table. Then Sherbina recalls that at the helicopter.
Yeah,
it's he's just talking about the neutrons.
That's
the bullets.
No, there's a later scene where Legasov. I always stumble on his name. Legasov is talking about how when it rains, it's going to rain those bullets back down, and he talks about it later.
Oh yeah.
And he's like,
with the
billions and trillions of bullets and everything like that. It's just the way that really got through to me is how dangerous radiation is. What he started saying, the individual atoms, the individual neutrons are bullets. It's just well, that's terrifying. There's only about 1 trillion of them in one nuclear reactor.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. The refusal to evacuate state-sponsored delusion. Fanaticism is a virus, and whether it's a state or a religion or anything else, it should be completely annihilated. It's the worst. The bar scene, the couple that we're going to later find out as KGB agents.
Is there anything we should be worried about?
Yeah, which it's funny because Mason talked in an interview where he's like, that's the moment, he could have fucked up, but he's like, that's the moment that he owns it now. He's like, he's an outsider, but the moment he lies to those two, he now feels ownership of the event.
Of the lie as well.
Yeah, because he's now a part of it.
He's now a part of the lie.
Yeah, but he would have been fucked if he would have said anything different. So, let's see. One historical inaccuracy. The helicopter crash that happened a couple years later. The coded call with Hyomuk with the Institute is great because the KGB is always listening. Where she's asking about so and so out in the country and
bring in his nephews and they can warm you up if they climb all over you, and it's a good scene.
Yeah,
talking in codes.
Yeah, Sherbina's reaction to him being told he's basically gonna be dead in 5 years.
That
just
look on his
brilliant
face.
fucking acting from Stellan.
Yeah,
dude.
we'll both be dead in 5 years.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's like Legasov, you've had time to you know that inherently, and you've had time to process that. You just dropped that bomb on him.
I like that Legasov also like recognizes what he just did, and he apologizes profusely. He's like, "I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
Like, "I'm sorry." He apologizes 2 or 3 times, and I think that's one of the moments that really kind of changed this relationship with the two of them. Is that moment? Is that they're brothers in arms at that point, so they're probably going to die.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where Sabrina is like, "Oh, okay, I got to start listening to this motherfucker."
Yeah.
And I think that the meeting with Fomin and the other guy, and then that moment, I think that's where it flipped. And he's like, "Okay, I got to start really listening to this guy. I got to get him everything that he asked for," and he does.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Sabrina. Shabina is he bends over backwards to get everything that Yugoslav asked for.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, one question I had with like the Liquidators, I know that shit comes a little bit later in the series, but there's part of me that wonders if this had happened in America, do you think we're able to handle it? Do you think 600 to 700, 6 to 800,000 people would volunteer to go and to be the cleanup people?
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't. Like, I think
here's the thing.
Heroics, I think, happens in small numbers in a more free society, but I think like to basically ask almost 1 million people to do it, I don't know, man. I don't know if you find it. I think you get tens of thousands, if maybe 100,000 people that may sign up. But to have
what number are you talking about here?
The Liquidators, like everyone that signs up to basically go in and do everything they need to do for the cleanup, like after like down the road, like you end up like the number is somewhere between 600 and 800,000 Soviet people.
I think where you get that in America is that's where you create jobs and you pay them.
Yeah,
versus the Soviets where it's it's your duty to do the labor, kind of thing. In America,
I feel like
it's the capitalist way. Is you just
pay people maybe,
or
empty the prisons and use prisoners. We do that for wildfires.
We do.
I'm not trying to like poo-poo America, but I think there's an element of like a fanatical, totalitarian government that you're going to have people that are like easier to coax into like basically potentially committing suicide.
I mean, a lot of it also is like, let's be perfectly honest. How much were they told?
Yeah.
How dangerous? Oh, it's not very dangerous. It's only 3.2 Rotkin.
Yeah.
But
most of them know.
There's the lies there
to a point, because like with the miners, they know when they say you're going to Chernobyl. From their looks, like they know there's like a danger.
There is a danger, right? Exactly.
Carol says she believes they'd use the military, which is probably right, because they can't say no.
I can tell you one thing though, is that I know that there's problems with this country, but when we get united and we want to do something, we go 150%.
Yeah, it's just the scale of it.
I think it's a matter of we need to get there, and if you have that conversation with America, unlike with the Soviet Union, where it's lies and secrets and everything like that, but if you're honest with America and you go, hey, if we don't get X amount of people to come help us with this, it's going to be go thermal nuclear, and everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
At that point, I mean, sign me up. I'm gonna, as an American, I'm gonna go do my part to help a future for my daughter, kind of thing.
I'm not trying to be pessimistic. There's just part of me that just wonders if you get 800,000 people to sign up. In America, because it's a free society, there's an element of like fear and duty that doesn't belong to Americans the same way a Soviet would, because like you're under the thumb of that government.
I think of things like how it was right after 9/11. I also think about how America rose to the challenge during World War II.
Yes,
and that's what I equate this to. Is that this is a monumental undertaking, dude. You're a history fan. You know about the industrial changes that happened around America to make us the premier power in the world, military-wise, in 6 years.
Yeah.
So that's where I think that we could move heaven and earth if we wanted to, and I think that's the only thing. Is the question is, if you're honest with the American people, hey, this is dangerous work, it has to be done, or this happens, I think that you're going to get nowadays maybe not so much, but in the 80s, absolutely you would have. I think in the 80s you would have easily.
And I think the problem there is ever since like Watergate, America has this like distrust of like the system, And I think if it was like in the 50s, like 3 Mile Island, I think
Right.
you got more of the, Captain America type people.
Right.
But I think once like Watergate, Vietnam, like there's like a distrust in government, like whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a pessimist.
I mean,
but
here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. How did we end up in Afghanistan and Iraq if the people didn't support the government? Because after an event like 9/11,
yeah.
President Bush still has the record for the highest presidential approval rating of all time.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. It's because of a tragedy.
Yeah.
When you have a tragedy or you have the threat of a tragedy,
But
people unite.
You didn't have 800,000 people signing up to go to Iraq or Afghanistan, though. Like,
No, but they didn't need it. That's the thing. Is what was the need?
Yeah.
Yes, they could have used more and everything like that.
I just don't
And
know if
that's
people
also,
do sign up.
And that's also to go fight a war. We're not talking about fighting a war.
No, I'm talking about the danger, though, in terms of like
there's
the
danger there.
The danger of going to Iraq is the same as the danger of like, hey, you're going here, you might get poisoned and die. So like, I don't know. I'm trying not to be pessimistic. There's just part of me that wonders if like the built-in like element of like a totalitarian government and like people almost seeing themselves as expendable. I'm not even saying it's a good thing that they have that.
I just
but
have a
it's
glass
like,
half full kind of mentality.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, so we do have to speed up a little bit.
Yes. Especially since we haven't even talked. We could just skip episode 4. Let's just talk about episode 5.
So I do want to point out the miners. Great. Love all.
Oh God! One of the best scenes in the entire episode is
love
that
all-
first
love all of
patting
them.
the suit and getting it all
Yeah.
dirty. Oh, I love it.
Also, one of the few almost inexcusable errors in my mind is leukemia and radiation jumping from one patient to another. That's not a thing. Like,
That's not possible.
no, radiation doesn't jump like a zombie virus. Like, if she could have like, she did lose her baby. Now that may have been from like what happened in the environment. It wasn't because she was by her husband. If there was any danger, it was her infecting his open sores and everything. Like, the danger would have been to him, not to her. Radiation can't jump like that. Now, if it's an object and you're around an object, but it's like people don't.
okay.
People aren't irradiated, and we're not like pulsating radiation the way like a pair of boots that are irradiated.
Okay. So when the fire,
it can't jump from him in his bed to her, and that's why her baby got lost. Like, it's probably because like she was in Pripyat.
Okay.
Well, this is all going on.
So what you're saying is the firefighters close. The really smart nurse in the hospital in the episode 2 or episode 3 says, "Hey, we got to get these clothes off. They're irradiated."
Yeah.
And so they get all the clothes off. They dump them in the basement.
Yes.
The nurses come away with like burns.
Yeah, they're
radiation
gonna,
burns,
and potentially probably cancers
And
down the road.
Potentially cancer down the road, right?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that once he gets out of those, he's radiated. The firefighter.
Yes.
He's radiated.
But he's not going to pulsate
But he's not
radiation.
He's not going to put radiation off onto the clothes that he's wearing.
No.
He's not going to put radiation off onto the chair that he's sitting in.
No, it absorbs into you. Whereas, like on an object, it stays on the surface. Like,
and then that's where the contact can come from. Is that if I'm wearing a radiated jacket and I give you a high five, that goes from me to you.
Yeah, off the jacket.
Off the jacket.
Yes, not you. Or
Not
like
me.
Yeah, if you're stripped completely and you're in like a hospital gown, you're not going to give me radiation poisoning. That's not.
But why do they separate people who are
because they're
suffering radiation?
Because they have no immune system.
Because they have no.
They're in danger.
So she killed him, not he killed her baby.
He was already dead. But
I mean,
yeah. The danger would have been though he had all these open sores and shit. Yeah, she was basically bringing bacteria contamination.
Yeah, because she wasn't wearing like a clean gown and everything like that.
Exactly.
And a mask and everything.
So that is a jump the show makes it is incorrect. There's a couple inexcusable things in my mind. Let's see. Hyung-Hyuk threatening to blow the whistle, and the KGB guy immediately appears. What is everyone going to hear?
Yeah.
That's just creepy shit. Super creepy.
That's exactly what you think of when you think of the KGB.
Yeah, radiation's got to be the worst way to die, right? I don't think
That's
there's a way in human history that's worse than that, man.
It's up there.
It's terrible. And then Akimov's face was gone. Glad we didn't see that. Hyung says that his face was gone. It's like, I'm glad they didn't show us that.
Yeah.
Let's see, the AZ-5 triggered the explosion. That's interesting. Barry Keoghan showing up as the Liquidator at the end of episode 3. We're going to see him in episode 4. So big actor now, not as big back then. So the old lady and the cow, episode 4. Let's see. The intro to the roofs. Marcia being the most dangerous place on the planet. It's not an exaggeration. Let's see. Animal Control. Oh, it's so hard.
That is the hardest episode of any TV show I've ever watched.
I watch this show less because this episode exists. I can't. I fast forward past the puppies. I can't even. I can't do it, man. I may play myself off as an evil bastard, but when it comes to like animals, like I've got a soft spot there. So
and to think about like
except for ones that attack boys on bridges.
You stop that. I have a hard time with that episode, and that's the reason why I've never like, hey babe, you should like telling my wife you should watch this.
Carol, Animal Control had me
Oh,
shook. Yeah,
gosh.
it's tough.
But
I agree
hard.
with the main guy. Don't let them suffer. And like
No.
I legit would have killed him with that first dog. I would have fucking killed the motherfucker.
Yeah, you shoot a dog and it's sitting there whimpering and bleeding and everything.
Yeah.
You put it out of its fucking misery.
Yeah, and he told him that up front. It's like, don't point your gun at me, and don't let any animals suffer. Like, if you don't kill it, keep pulling your trigger till it's fucking dead.
Yeah.
I would have killed the kid, dude. I would have lost my shit.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people dying around now. No one's gonna notice you. So
Nope.
Yeah, he's a nicer guy than I
Oh,
was.
he suffered radiation poisoning by a bullet in the head.
Yeah. Then just tough stuff. So the biorobots, the Geiger counter sound while the rooftop stuff is happening.
Oh, gosh.
Absolutely terrifying. Dude tripping and then getting his foot stuck and his boot punctured. Insane.
I noticed back to the Geiger counter thing real fast. I noticed that they do that a lot because I watched it with subtitles and I was paying attention because I had the volume turned really low because I got up early.
I think it was part of the score.
It's part
too.
of the score, but also there's down moments where there is no music or they're trying to build tension where they're just doing the Geiger counter. It was the scene where I forgot her name. The pregnant wife goes to see her husband. When he wakes up and he's screaming, it says Geiger counter clicking, and I'm like, what? And so I turned it up a little bit to listen. While he's screaming and she's being kicked out of the room, you can hear the Geiger counter going.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, they just put this over random scenes?
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh.
I love it. So I know we're zipping a bit here. Trial is in the exclusionary zone. That's insane.
Why would you do that?
That's insane to me. That is absolutely insanity.
We can go. Hey,
Now-
you know what, Ted? We can go over a little bit. Take
Well,
your time. I want to do this right.
The other part of it is the fact that the other 3 reactors are running till 2000, like the George W. Bush administration.
Yeah.
It was like 2003, 4, and 5 when they were shut down. I think
Yeah.
something like that. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like I just the first time I learned that, I lost.
People die.
Yeah, people still went to work the next day and just kept going. Like, I can't believe that. So yeah, the fact that we are told up front it's a show trial is interesting because
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of courtroom dramas, but to know up front that like, hey, this is a show trial, like we know what the verdict's going to be. But of course, we all know that from our audience's perspective, the end of episode 4, Hyumyuk is telling him, "You got to tell the truth." And Sherbina's saying, "No, you're going to kill yourself if you do that." Like,
Yeah.
so you put it on the line.
And he
where it's like,
also lied in Vienna.
yes,
Like that's the big thing is that's
Told
to,
the state lie.
That's to the world.
yeah,
And this is a closed state. This isn't. I think this might have been lost on some people. This isn't like O.J. Simpson's trial.
No.
This isn't being broadcast to the world.
no. The only reason she's asking him to tell the truth is because the Chernobyl Institute people are there. Real Russian Soviet scientists are in the audience. So like, if him
who don't know
Don't-
that the tips of the control rods are
graphite,
graphite.
yeah, which
Yeah.
is an accelerant basically,
which is like the worst kind of thing you can have
Yeah.
in a nuclear reactor.
yeah, exactly.
And you mentioned it earlier. His testimony with the placards, the red and blue placards.
Yeah,
Dude, amazing. They should have that for everyone who thinks that
wants to
nuclear
know
energy
about
needs to watch that scene so they can understand how much has to categorically go wrong with human error
yeah.
in order for this to happen.
in a inherently shitty reactor too.
Yeah, that's also
the
like
RBMKs
one of the
were
worst
like,
ones.
That's like a Kmart reactor. Like that.
Well, he says it.
Yeah.
Why do we build these kind of reactors when the West don't?
Yeah.
Why do we build our reactors without containment buildings when the West does?
Yeah.
Why do we build our
it's
reactors
cheaper.
with this
Yeah.
shitty material?
Yeah.
Why? Because it's cheaper.
But it still took how many steps to get to that
Yeah,
disaster?
exactly.
Like,
and that's the reason my wife has watched the 5th episode, and I think I have her convinced that nuclear energy is not the big bad scary thing that a lot of people do, and I know that's how you feel.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that you have time to talk about that.
Yeah, and I do have a little bit of a note at the end, a little bit too. But so and then through the course of this episode, we essentially get the story of the entire night. Through the prism of this trial, and then we obviously get flashbacks. So we then catch ourselves all the stuff that we missed from, Dyatlov as it's echoing as we're
episode 1.
Yeah, episode 1. We now get all the rest of it filled in, including like the morning before, like, hey, we need this test. No, but Kiev can't lose the power because
that's so fucking dumb.
And
oh my god, that's so dumb.
I thought it was in the series, but maybe it's one of the books I read because one of the other reasons they're asking is because there's like a big celebration coming up, like one of their holidays.
Oh, really?
So that was a big reason they had.
That was not in the show.
That was the reason they had a higher demand is because May Day was coming up. So like they need more energy because like we're about to build like the 4th of July for the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Like we can't have a drop in power. So that I kept waiting for them and they never showed. I'm like, dude, I guess I just learned that from a book, not from the actual show. So, Sherbina giving context as to what the test is trying to accomplish is awesome because I feel like this whole episode really just spells everything out. He first spells out, okay, what was the test? We keep hearing that it was a safety test.
Yeah.
What were they trying to test? And he spells that part out.
Yeah.
Then you go to Humya.
Also, real fast with Sherbina, he also shows that those 3 fudged results before.
Yes, they signed off.
They signed off that the reactor was fully functional and everything like that in December. Because if they did that before the first of the year, they got
a bonus,
a bonus, rewards and
Yeah.
stuff like that. They got like the Red Cross or whatever
Yeah.
the hell it was, which obviously came with some money as well.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you pieces of shit, you cutting corners, motherfuckers.
Like 3 years too. Like
Yeah.
the 3 years they've been waiting to get that thing resolved.
They've tried it. No, it's not even like waiting.
And they tried multiple
They've
times.
tried multiple times and failed multiple times.
Yeah. And then Homo covers the delay of the test, both scientific and human reasons why the issue, but largely she's just setting up the human element. And then it's Legasov then that has to go the rest of the way to show the science of it. So finally seeing it all happen in the room, she hints at a scientific problem, but then hands off to Legasov. His placards, we've already talked about it, one of the best, easiest to digest explanations of exactly what happened. And then Dyatlov is so fucking terrible again. I have multiple notes.
I wasn't in the room.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Where were you?
And then when he calls him out, like, go on, say it, tell your lies. And like, he already said that there was no way to stop. Like, it's like, dude,
what a fucking weasel.
Yeah. The reactor being smothered by xenon is the point that they should have stopped the test. Like that, there's multiple points where it's like, you have exit ramps here, but Dyatlov was just, he needed to get it done. So, and not that he had to because he was being ordered, but it's like in his mind, like, I'm getting this done.
Well,
and
this is the thing that pisses me off with people like this, where it's like their career is their only thing that matters.
Yes.
That's what these 3 are.
Yeah.
Because there's the scene with Fomin where
Saying
they're
that
waiting for the director.
Brahanov
and he's
is getting promoted.
Yeah,
He's gonna
Brahanov is getting promoted, and I'm going to get his job, and I need someone to do my job.
I'm thinking about
so-and-so, and he's like, I would like to be considered. He's like, well, we'll see what happens with this safety test.
And he sits behind the desk.
So Dyatlov does the whole, well, I have to conduct the safety test. I have to do it in order to get that promotion.
Yeah.
And throws everything else out the window.
Yeah. And then the Soviet mentality is so wrong. The fact that seniority allowed him to override every safety concern from everyone in the room. Like,
Everyone was saying this is bad.
Yeah, yeah. And then my next note, Dyatlov should have been executed, even with the aspects he didn't know, which I will give him some grace because of the stuff he didn't know about.
The AZ-5.
AZ-5, basically, the fact that he didn't know that was taken out of all the reports.
Right.
Now, Legasov, we found out in the last episode, knew about it because he previously actually saw a minor issue with another thing, and again, he's a high-ranking dude in the nuclear industry,
right?
But nobody else knew. None of them saw those pages, so like there's no way for him to have known. I'm going to give him some grace for that, but even apart from what he didn't know, he should have been executed.
Yeah,
100% should have been executed. He should have been put on a fucking pole and shot.
The incompetence of him to ignore the 2 techs who were trying to run the safety test, and then especially, can I get you to record your command? Do what I say.
Yeah.
Fine, record it, and I will.
Yeah.
The part that really gets me is the whole, like, if I was one of those 2 techs and he said the line to me, if you don't do what I say, I'll make sure that you never work in
anywhere
again. I'll be like, fine, I'll go be a fucking shoe salesman. Fuck you. And I'd flip him off and I'd walk out of the room because I'm not going to be a part of something of a nuclear reactor melting down because that's what I would think it would be happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Stellan and Jared are just fucking slay these roles, specifically the scene with the recess talking about Sherbina's importance.
Yeah.
Like that whole scene is a masterclass
with
of
the
acting.
caterpillar and everything.
Just incredible stuff. So even now, Sherbina saving the day because they're about to adjourn, and he makes sure to make them all stay. Because they're about to cut Legasov off. Oh, we have everything we need from you. Like, we're going to, whatever. He's like, no, let him finish. Like, so it's even at the end here, Sherbina's saving the day.
Carol says he doesn't fail up, but he failed sideways because he got his job back somewhere else after prison.
No, that was
Dyatlov
Fomin.
didn't.
Yeah.
Fomin did work in the nuclear industry until he retired.
I will say of the three, I don't think Fomin is as guilty. Like, yeah, he put, like, there was some pressure. He's a weasel and stuff, but, like, overall, unless none of them are without excuse, but he's probably the one that is the most like with some excuse because it's like, I don't know, it was really Dyatlov.
Dyatlov is the most to blame. The director and Fomin both have kind of the thing,
except for signing off on the completion of the facility.
Yes, well, they both deserve that. No,
some punishment.
The one that they really fumbled is. Do your due diligence. If there's an accident, if there's an explosion, if there's a fire at a nuclear power plant, you get the fucking dosimeter.
Yeah.
You get a dosimeter that fucking works, and you listen to it. You
Yeah.
don't question it. You don't send someone up to a roof to look in and then sit there and berate him and yell at him.
Yeah.
No, you get the facts, you get him to Moscow, and you get help.
Yeah.
That's the unforgivable thing for Fomin and the director. Those two are severely at fault, and that's why they deserve prison sentences.
Yeah.
Because everyone else was acting on their orders or Dyatlov's orders.
Yes.
And who did they have run the safety test? That's their fault too.
Yeah.
Everything
for
that
sure.
Dyatlov did is their fault. If you're a general and you say, hey, Sergeant, Captain Tad, I need you to go clear this village.
Yeah.
And Captain Tad takes that as, okay, I'm going to go kill every single man, woman, and child in that village. That's on me. I'm the commanding officer. That's going to fall on. I did not clarify
and
to
I'm definitely not saying they're innocent. I'm just saying that I don't want to let them get as much like heat as Dyatlov because Dyatlov is the biggest issue in this entire thing.
Right.
And those two are still problems, but nowhere near the same level of problems.
No, and I 100% agree with you. But I think that those two, that's my fault with them. That's where they deserve penalty for. Is not what caused the accident. That's to me, that's 100% on Dyatlov.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can blame Fomin or the director for that when they were, like they said, I was asleep. Of course it's not my fault.
Yeah.
My problem is what you did after
you
the
also,
accident.
Yeah, you also let it get moved to the night shift. Like there's definitely blame to be had, but like I wasn't super outraged when like Fomin I find out that after and they all got 10 years hard labor. Which in the Soviet Union that means something. But the fact
they were breaking rocks on a chain gang for 10 years or worse.
Yes, indeed. As Carol said when he claimed he wasn't even there, oh my God, I had feelings. Yes. Yeah, such a weasel. Also, the next biggest inexcusable falsity of the series: a nuclear reactor cannot become a nuclear bomb. It's the one line in this series that fucking drives me nuts. When Legasov says that it is now a nuclear bomb, no, it fucking isn't. That is so. What I hate is I believe nuclear energy is truly the future of how we're going to get off of fossil fuels, and I do believe there's almost a religious, superstitious fear of nuclear, and it's because there's the tie to nuclear weapons, but they're such different things. For example, a bomb needs enriched fuel to 90% to make a nuclear weapon.
They don't use that in
reactors. 3 to 5% enrichment. You are talking
and we're talking Russia doesn't even use that.
No.
They use like worse than that.
Yes. So it's like you are so far removed from it. Now, if you want to get super technical and say, well, it was a bomb and nuclear shit caused it, okay, but it doesn't mean there's like a mushroom cloud. Like this isn't.
And that's what everyone's going to think when he says it's a nuclear bomb. And the problem is that he's not very good at explaining, but he does explain it to Sherbina earlier.
Yeah.
Sherbina.
Sherbina, yeah.
Sorry, I keep saying his name wrong. Earlier, where he's like, if this goes, it's going to poison the water.
Yes.
It's going to poison the air.
Yes.
It's going to poison the land.
And all that's real.
And all of that, and that's what he
Yes.
means.
Yes.
But when he says in the trial that it's turned into a nuclear bomb,
It's
I think that it's hyperbole that
Yeah.
to like make it kind of like worse than it is. Like
Yeah.
these fuckers created a nuclear bomb,
Yeah.
and then and everything like
and
that.
it could be a creative thing from like Craig Mazin that wrote it. It's maybe just him for dramatic effect.
Right.
It just drives me nuts because there's already so much superstitious fear of nuclear power
Right.
that like I was worried going to the series originally that like it's going to add to that. And overall, the series does a wonderful job of not vilifying
Right.
nuclear power. But there's a couple points: the radiation jumping from one person to another, not true.
I honestly never knew that.
A nuclear reactor, nuclear reactor becoming a nuclear bomb. There is literally no way for it to happen. It is not even in the realm of reality.
Like The World Is Not Enough, that James Bond movie that you hate, where they take a nuclear sub and they're trying to turn it into a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, it's just
It's asinine to
again,
you because it's physically impossible.
3 to 5% enrichment from a reactor, and you have to get 90+ enrichment to make a bomb. And bombs are designed in a very, very specific way.
Yeah.
And they're designed specifically to do a certain thing. Reactors are so far removed. I've spent years trying to think of a good example of like how far those are from each other, and I've yet to come up with a perfect one to like give an example. It's I don't know. It's like having a small bit of like of gunpowder and it catching on fire. It's like, well, that's gonna create a bullet and shoot it at someone. No. You've got like a tiny.
You opened up one of those little poppers
Yes.
for 4th of July.
Yes.
You put that gunpowder and you lit it on fire.
Yes, and that's going to become a bullet that's going to shoot and kill. No, it just you've taken so many leaps there where it's
Yeah.
like there's no casing, you don't have enough there, you don't have a bullet, like
You don't have a gun.
yeah, there's no you need a barrel for all. It's just so far removed that like that's the best I've been able to come up with over
Yeah.
the years. But I get it for a dramatic effect, but it does drive me a little bit crazy
Sure.
because there's too much fear.
Absolutely.
The lies speech is one of the best speeches ever put to film from Legasov. The cost of life. That whole tail end of his
Yeah.
thing is just it's up there with like you can't handle the truth.
You want the truth, you can't
Yeah.
handle the truth. That's exactly what I was thinking of with best speeches.
Yeah, Legasov.
Or that you could take my life, you could take my freedom.
Yeah,
You can't take my freedom.
historical recaps at the end are one of my favorite things in any
Yeah.
historical movie, whether it's a musical biopic or something like this. It's always one of my favorites because it's just like cool to like figure out what the tail end of the story is. But this one's incredible too because it actually shows you real footage of the real people, which is awesome. I absolutely adore that. I also love they acknowledge that Hyomilk is a created character. She
To
kind of
represent a scientific community.
hundreds of people, and it says there that a number of them spoke out and were like ostracized. The same that happens to Legasov,
Imprisoned, yeah.
imprisoned, like everything that happened to him. There were hundreds of people that equally did that. So
Yeah.
I love that. Only 10 years of hard labor for the three men, Barkanov and Fomin. That might be appropriate. B'Diaflop should have been executed.
Yeah.
Ludmilla eventually moved to Kiev, but actually since the show, she's moved out of Kiev to a smaller area because she's been hounded because of this show now. And it's forced her to kind of move away from a bigger place to like a smaller region. So that's unfortunate.
Hopefully she has a nice life the rest of her life.
Yeah, her son's still alive.
Good.
To this day, he's in, I don't remember how old he is, in his probably close to 40. Or no, he came a little bit later, so probably in his 30s or so. The Bridge of Death, you already alluded to it, complete myth.
Yeah.
There's no aspect of reality that anyone died from that bridge, let alone all of them. Another one of those things where it's like, come on, man, you could have just left that little part off. Like, also one of the that talks about the three divers. One's dead, the two are still alive. The one that died also
Was a car accident, wasn't
heart
it?
attack.
Heart attack.
Completely.
I knew it was just like
completely
not related.
unrelated to
Yeah.
radiation. Also, tourism of Chernobyl has exploded since the show. They have a massive tourism thing in Chernobyl now, which is wild. Although, since I was a young child, I've always wanted to go to Chernobyl. So, Gorbachev claiming that this is one of the reasons, a main reason for the Soviet collapse, maybe Chernobyl. He said a lot of shit over the years as to the reason for the collapse of the Soviet Empire. So let's not put too much into this. He's given 10 different things, or this is the primary reason it all happened. So he's kind of a talker. So
Yeah.
he's a politician.
I mean, I could see it being it. I really could.
Oh, there's a huge cost to it for sure, but that's a very complex thing.
The Soviet Union doesn't fall until 1991, so it's 5 years later.
Yeah.
But I mean, it seemed like it was a slippery slope from Chernobyl from what I've looked into it. And I haven't done a ton of research.
Yeah,
so.
I'll just say there's a lot going on. There was even like kind of a bloodless revolution that happened. Gorbachev technically got ousted by I'm blanking on Yeltsin, Boris Yeltsin.
Yeah.
There's a lot that went on. So it may have been a part of it all, but it wasn't a massive thing.
Yeah.
The new containment building, absolutely incredible. If you're a nerd at all for like engineering or whatever, go look up some like videos on that. It is one of the coolest fucking marvels
Really?
in modern history, like technological history. It actually has a gantry that goes and they're picking up and cleaning shit up inside of the containment building. So there's a lot of really cool shit with that new building. Also, it mentions cancer rates that affect mostly children. The one thing they left off there, primarily what happens is thyroid cancer, which is one of the most treatable cancers in existence. So I do think there's a little bit of an overstatement to try to
I mean, thyroid cancer is still cancer and it still sucks, but it's not as fatal as
it's
others.
very treatable and especially treatable with children. So whatever. The Soviets saying there was 31 deaths. They want to try to make this sound like it's super like far-fetched. The UN years later did a study, and they came to a number of 50 direct deaths to Chernobyl. So the 31 is not that far removed from an unbiased UN that went and did a study. And it's direct deaths. Of course, there's going to be cancer rates that spike across the world, but it's like...
I mean, how is that not a direct death?
Well, because you can't fully guarantee that cancer rates... Like, it's hard to scientifically prove the cancer rates... because you'd have to find like an area like that was specifically hit harder with like the jet stream or whatever, and then an area that wasn't, and are the numbers that different? And when they're not that different, it's like, hey, so are these cancer rates truly Chernobyl, or is it just normal cancer rates? Like, not to say there's not increased cancer rates, but like the direct deaths is very, very minute.
I just want to know how many of the 300,000 people died from cancer.
Yeah, and I would assume that the problem is the Soviets don't keep records of a lot of shit.
Exactly.
So, and that's not like they're trying to hide it. It's just a matter of the Soviets are the Soviets.
Yes.
Like, they probably had some vodka and lost them. So, if they took them at all. But the UN also said that they believe that the direct death toll could eventually rise to around 4,000 over time, right? Like, but it takes, because there's still a lot of people that are, young people that would have been impacted. So either way, with the idea where some people are, it could have killed hundreds of thousands of people, probably not. So
I mean, you mean like how it went down? It could have. I thought you were meaning like if it went a different way.
No, how it actually went.
There is no evidence that they killed hundreds of thousands of people.
No, and most likely
that's probably just anti-nuclear propaganda then,
and fear. It just comes down to fear. So that's the last bit I wanted to get to. This is a thought experiment that I came up with about 5 years ago. I've adjusted some numbers to match reality. So Chernobyl was a disaster. There was a huge loss of lives. However, I feel the tragedy, the bigger tragedy is the superstition and irrational fear of nuclear anything that was accelerated after this disaster, because that's really where the biggest fear started, is after Chernobyl. Since then, it is like the 1600s of witches. It's just people are unreasonable when it comes to like nuclear anything. This has caused the shuttering of plants, and this is the heavier usage of fossil fuels, which obviously further damage the planet and is adding to climate change. Let's compare the body counts here. The official death toll for Chernobyl, as far as Russia is concerned, is 31. The UN has done a study. They believe it's closer to 50. That could be linked directly to the disaster. The UN also says that 4,000 might eventually die due to radiation exposure. I've already covered that. So let's go batshit and say that all 4,050 people that the UN numbers say,
call it 4,100.
Let's say those 50, let's say every one of those people died immediately, which they didn't, and we don't know if they even will. Those are projected numbers. We don't know what's real. Total death in this imaginary scenario is 4,050. So let's go really nuts and say the 300,000 people who were forced to relocate during Chernobyl also immediately died due to this accident. Okay. Of course, in reality, they didn't. This is all a thought experiment.
Okay.
So total deaths in this imaginary scenario at this point, 304,050. You're seeing the numbers calculate up here. Also, there's the conscription of the liquidators. These people are responsible for making the cleanup and the relocation and everything that happened. The number of conscripted people is somewhere between 600 and 800,000. That's what you get with the Soviet Union. That's as close as you get for because they don't keep.
Yep.
They're very not German. When the
No.
Germans have triplicate for everything.
Yeah.
So for my thought exercise, let's give it the biggest number of 800,000. Of those 200K that were directly in the contaminated area, cleaning the area and liquidating all the animals in the years following the explosion. Because so 800,000 total. 200,000 of them were direct in the exclusionary zone.
The other 600,000 would have been like support.
Everything
and
else, your logistics. How are you getting
your-
fuel?
your
Like
cooks, your transport drivers, your supply guys, and everything
yes,
like that.
everything you need, but not people that are in the direct line of fire.
Right.
The rest helped with everything else. Let's say that for the argument, every single one of those 800,000 people immediately died upon completing their task, even the ones who were never within 100 miles of Pripyat. Let's just say that.
Okay,
So
1.2 million.
So in this imaginary scenario, 1,104,050. That's the number that in this totally imaginary scenario where everyone that came within realm would just immediately fucking died. So all told, 200 years from now, the UN predicted 50 was likely to die to this. So if their predictions are accurate, the total body count of Chernobyl will end up being in the ballpark of 4,050. But for my imagination above, let's say the total cost is 1.1 million people died from this accident. I will grant this is a grand imaginary result that is so far beyond reality, right? That's just it's la la land. However, the pollution from fossil fuels sees an estimated death of 8.7 million people every year.
Damn.
Air pollution
Every
kills
year.
8.7 million people.
And this is a one-off accident.
This is a one-time accident.
But
so
8.7 million people die from fossil fuel pollution every year.
air pollution every year. Originally I wrote this in 2020. I've adjusted the numbers now because in 2020 they used to say 4 million a year. But there was a new study done in the last couple of years where they've realized, oh shit, it's actually well. First they said it was closer to 10 million, and then further study they brought it down to 8.7 that are dying annually from air pollution on the planet.
Jeez.
Yes, that's a lot of kids, old people, like people that are susceptible,
people.
but those are people dying. So, eventual Chernobyl deaths, according to the UN, 4,050. Total deaths in my imaginary scenario, 1.1 million. Annual fossil fuel deaths, 8.7 million. So that means you would need a smidge under 8 of my imaginary, comedically exaggerated Chernobyls to match 1 year of fossil fuel deaths. Or just air pollution. We're not even talking drilling and all the other shit that happens with fossil fuel deaths. I'm just talking strictly people dying because they're breathing air that's polluted. You need almost 8 Chernobyls. Back to reality, if you compare the real estimates to the all-in eventual death toll from the UN, you're going to need 2,150 Chernobyls to match what air pollution is doing every single year. Kind of like Legasov says, year after year, every year, you need 2,150 Chernobyls to happen. So guess what? There are 440 nuclear plants on the planet. That's the total number everywhere.
Right.
The level of fear of nuclear power is unmerited. It is so far beyond rational that it is foolish and superstitious. Respect nuclear, certainly, but don't think that there is they are some existential threat to the planet, because even when we grossly exaggerate it, it is a fraction of what is dying right now from air pollution. So nuclear is the only thing, in my estimation, that we could actually completely remove fossil fuels and maintain our power usages. Other things are great. There's good subsidiaries, but the only thing that can truly handle the heft of like what fossil fuels do for us right now is nuclear. So I do believe that is our way of actually cleaning our air, because the only thing coming out of a smokestack of a nuclear reactor is steam, which is water. So that would clean it. So I truly believe that this is the silver bullet for climate change, and superstitious fear is one of the biggest things that stands in our way.
The biggest thing
and I think just if you educate yourself about it, nuclear is not scary. They're talking about opening some new reactors up in northern Idaho to actually power most of northern Utah. Like, I would be okay if they built one in this fucking valley, because how regulated they are.
Yeah.
Also, modern nuclear.
The technology that's come along since 39 years ago. I did make a note about that. It's 39 years this month since the accident.
Yeah, we are almost to the anniversary.
Almost 39 years to the day. The technology, and like we said, the RBMK reactors in Russia were
shitty.
Kmart versions,
yes,
which is a very shitty outlet store here in America that even went under. So that's where it's like, nowadays American and top of the line across the world.
Let me just tell you this: the newest forms of reactors, which is largely what China is building and what America is now building. Sadly, our regulatory things were a little bit slow. So China's been building them for years, but we're just barely green lighting new reactor styles to be done. The new reactor styles, so in old ones, it was like the reaction was happening and you were maintaining it to hold it down. The new, because like the let go on its own, it's going to go up, right?
Yeah.
That's the new ones that they build now. The default is down. You have to use the power to keep the reaction up, and so if everything went wrong, it shuts off. That's the new.
That's brilliant.
That's modern nuclear things.
That's brilliant.
The other thing, 2012, 2011, the Fukushima in Japan.
That was affected by an earthquake.
That was affected by an earthquake. But here's the other thing. Great little fun bit of trivia. Did you know the Fukushima plant is older than the Chernobyl plants?
Yes, I did. You've told me that before.
So that's another trivia bit out there. Yes, that happened. It killed 1 or 2 people. There was more people killed from the rushing out. Like there was like trampling deaths and stuff like because again of the fear of nuclear. But nuclear itself only killed like the one dude that went into the reactor to like stop something. And I think one other person got irradiated.
He did the Spock?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much spocked it. So it's like, but again, when everyone's like, "Oh, well, that happened not that long ago." Yeah, but the reactor was a couple years older than the Chernobyl plants.
And also like the loss of life. Let's add that to your Chernobyl scenario. Oh, 2 people.
Yeah, and they were the heroes that jumped in,
Yeah.
right? So it wasn't just like some random person knitting on their porch when Fukushima well, there was an earthquake. So hopefully,
got blasted by radiation.
yeah, that's not the way it works. So, yeah, ultimately, that's
No, she got radiation from hugging her husband who came from the plant.
Sorry, I didn't want to like get on a soapbox too much, but I do believe that nuclear power is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And in our country, it is so regulated to the point where like what they register, what would evacuate an entire facility today is like if you took that same number and went to the halls of Congress, which is a granite building, guess what puts off radiation? Granite. But it's such a minute level, nobody's going to get sick, right? But if you took the same levels of readings that would cause an evacuation at a modern American plant and took that number and put it into the Capitol building, it would get evacuated. Because just what's coming off the marble, the granite is enough radiation to trigger an evacuation, which is almost nothing. That's background radiation.
Yes.
So nothing to fear about it. I think the show did a great job of not stoking the fear, except for a couple things that I pointed out.
Yes, and the big thing is that educate yourself. Like Tad's opened my eyes to this. We've talked about this before Chernobyl even came out, and I did my own research. That's the big thing. Is like you can listen to Tad.
Yes, always do your own
hear
research,
him, but do your own research.
Sure.
Verify. Go check everything that he's saying. And then go past it and everything if you want to learn more.
My last bit, I would say, there's one country that's really killing it with like climate change initiatives is France.
I was going to say, it's France, isn't it?
75% of France's energy is from nuclear power. So they are...
And how many accidents?
Yeah, that's the other thing, too. That you could count 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and Fukushima are the ones that everyone always fixates on. There's been some minor things here and there, but those are the big ones that people talk about. Okay, that's 3 accidents since the late 1940s.
I can name 3 oil spills in my lifetime.
That have polluted entire fucking millions of gallons and killed how many creatures and,
And messed up the ecosystem and the economy of certain businesses and everything.
Exactly. So look at the mathematics that way, too. But yeah, do your own research for sure. Didn't mean to, I didn't want to make this a soapbox, but I do think it's important because I do think that nuclear is our future. And like, there's a bunch of 20-year-olds right now on a nuclear submarine in a tiny can with a nuclear reactor, and they're all like 20-something years old, and they're fine. So if they want to put one in your area,
there's a commercial right now for the Navy where it's about driving a nuclear sub. So.
Yeah. And it's like there's officers there, so there's some people that are more educated, but largely the people running that reactor are a bunch of 20-year-olds, and if you know 20-year-olds, those aren't necessarily
they dumb.
So this is a great show, though. One of the best things ever put to film in my mind.
Show.
I'm glad I picked it because it made me rewatch it. I was already circling a rewatch, but I'm glad we did it because it's great. Thank you for letting me go over. But
I knew you needed it. This is one of those things that Chad's passionate
I didn't
about.
want to short out the last episode either. We were able to hit the last episode a lot better. So I didn't realize it would be some of our topics. It's weird. We have ones where it's like we think we have a lot and it ends up being way shorter than we thought. And then there's other ones like this where it's like, oh my God.
Yep.
Let's go on over to the emails. If you want to email the show, Peter@geekerybinds.com or Tad, TADD at geekerybuyers.com. Then if you want to, the next episode, we've already mentioned it, T2 Deep Dive, which
Yes.
you tried to do last time, but we got bamboozled by Marvel doing 6 hours of casting
Doomsday.
releases. Yeah, can't wait for that. But T2 Deep Dive next time, one of my all-time favorite movies. Can't wait for that. And the rest of the schedule, except for a couple episodes between now and the end of August or beginning of August, are scheduled out. So go check the YouTube stuff.
There's a couple we're going to hash out here in the next week or so.
Yeah, I think probably before the end of this month, we'll have everything between now and early August will be all spelled out.
Yeah.
You only have to pick one. I have to pick two.
I'm going to tell you my one right now.
Oh, okay.
We're going to bump Harry Potter 2. We're going to talk just Harry Potter 1.
Oh, okay, for May.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're going to change that from Harry Potter 1 and 2
to 1.
Take 2 and just bump it.
So 2 will be that July episode for
Exactly.
you? Okay, all right, I got you.
That way, the way we've been talking with how much we have to watch right now and everything going on, I want to make sure that we're doing Harry Potter justice, and I know that the Harry Potter fans would get mad at me and curse me if I didn't. Yes, Carol, I'm having Tad watch the movies. We're starting Harry Potter 1.
I've never seen or read Harry Potter.
Nope.
So
And we're doing it this year. So Harry Potter 1 is coming in May.
All right.
It's the Sorcerer's Stone, Philosopher's Stone.
Sounds
if
good.
you're in the UK.
I'd say within the next week or two, before our next episode, probably I'll get my other 2 episodes that are blank filled in, and we'll have our way paved for us. Of course, there's always emergencies that could happen, but for now, that'll carry us through August 2nd or
we
something.
might
like
have
that.
to punt.
Yeah,
it
happens. We always have that possibility. So we've gone over, but I will sign off as I always do by saying, let your geek flag fly high. Love what you love. Never let anyone tell you anything about. To hell with anyone that says anything to you about guilty pleasures, because there's no such thing when it comes to media. If it brings you pleasure, there's no guilt in it.
I wasn't even there. I was in the toilet.
Peter Dyatlov. That's what it is.
Dude,
now.
that's a Russian name right there. Peter Dyatlov.
Yeah, just change the E to a Y, and you've got it there. And
Peter Dyatlov.
and only the first Y or E for some reason. That's so weird.
It's such a weird thing.
All right, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks for Terminator 2. See you guys.
Dun 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 dun.